It just wanted me to relaunch Chrome. So actually, it done the update before, so I just almost had to just... Yeah.
I was going to say,
save it doing it in an hour.
Quick.
Well, it wasn't as quick before I got on to today, mate. It took about half an hour. I only used it 2 days ago at work, so yeah, that's always concerning.
Please restart before use.
Absolutely.
7 stops, Milo. Yeah, my 190's updated.
Yeah, you've updated, Ian.
Good lad. And you've updated consecutively as well.
I've updated. The consecutive one was there 3 weeks ago.
Was it? You sure about that?
After you made a comment about what was there previously.
Well, that was last week.
No. Consecutive's been there for 3 weeks.
Okay.
Well, there we go. He's consecutively had it there for 3 weeks. So, brilliant.
So 3 weeks consecutive.
I've consecutively been here
3
for
weeks
190 weeks, boys.
But in brackets, 3 weeks consecutively.
The wording was, yeah.
The other 187, don't know.
Hey, this is an update. We only had this little feature, was it 6 weeks ago? So it's
this feature's been on, probably about 2 months.
2 months, is it? Yeah.
6, 7 weeks, yeah.
So that's it. Mark and I haven't changed our little subtitle for however long. Ian updates his every week.
Has to.
Well, I kind of have to, don't I?
What would be your subtitle?
That's a good question.
Oh, that's my getting to know you question, Milo. Flipping it. Come on.
Hey.
Imagine.
Clary said, what cat? There's a cat right back
there is.
there. Yeah.
It's chosen a pillow
That's why.
over its lovely custom bed.
They do that,
But Caleb, is it
she kinda
a
goes through some moods.
battle
but
cat?
It's she's a very feisty cat, that's for sure. Yeah.
Not right now.
There's
thank
another
goodness.
one too, but she's probably hanging out. She might come over around here, but that one's a little bit bigger too. So
That cat's been done with some sleep powder in terms of battle.
The best cats just sleep all day, don't they?
Yeah, apparently cats sleep for like 2/3 of their lifespan, which is kind of wild.
do.
to me, but-
Well, they make up for it in the other third, don't they? By being little
Yeah.
destructive monkeys.
Well, that's over 9 lives as well.
yeah, it's a long time.
Very
sleeping.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of letters on this. I'm going to see how long we can go with these names, actually. The world's most stubborn
World's
trainer.
most stubborn
I like
trainer.
that.
I like it.
On episode 190, how was our search for the shiny monkeys last weekend? Daily Incense has had an extra upgrade, and we light up the grill for a fresh guest. Welcome in, listeners, to episode 190 of the Incensed podcast. Mark and Ian, how are you doing? Consecutively.
Yeah, doing good, Milo. Doing good, thank you, mate. Yeah, but here again, not quite 190
Not
weeks consecutively, but very much here, talking about all good stuff Pokemon Go-ish, aren't
About
we?
Galar.
Yeah, Galarian Galars.
Galar.
Yeah, Galar. What about you, Mr. Vassafal?
Mr. Consecutive himself.
I don't want to give anything away, although the cold open probably already has done, but I'm frantically looking for a jingle we took off the soundboard about 9 months ago, and it's about a certain dungeon.
Oh, well.
The Dynamax dungeon.
The Dynamax dungeon. Close.
Well, how about while you faff around trying to find that jingle? Marky, as I mentioned, the grill is very much lit. Do you want to introduce the person who we're going to be grilling this week?
I think it'd be rude not to do that, wouldn't it, Milo? So let's
Be a bit daft. Welcome to a guest feature. By the way, they're not on the show. Unfortunate.
And we kind of left the grill on, and we're probably using. Well, we're not getting all political. We're using unnecessary electricity. Come on now, boys. Let's rein it back.
Can't have that.
Can't have that. No. So anyway, yes, to our listeners, it's all going to make sense in a bit. The misplaced jingle, the grill being grilled, all been heated up, and a lot of
Found it.
and a lot of consecutiveness. Here we go. So today we are joined by the ultimate cat dad in the world of Pokemon Go, co-host of the Battle Catz podcast, with over 32,000 subscribers on YouTube and 9,000 followers. When I last checked on Twitch, our guest is seen regularly commentating at GBL events, as well as coaching, teaching and mentoring trainers around the world with the latest GBL strategies. I don't know what GBL means, but we'll find out later. So, please join me in giving a massive Incense podcast welcome to the one and only Caleb Peng. Welcome.
Hey, thank you so much.
Welcome in, man.
I don't think I've ever had an intro that good, so I appreciate it. Appreciate the kind words, but happy to be here.
We try.
We do like to hype you up, yeah. We do like to hype it. And this has been a long time coming. We originally talked about getting you on this show. I've got to go there. Over a year and a half ago.
I think the first time I listened to this podcast was like a long... I wasn't even in LA at the time. I was back in Atlanta. I think it was one of your earlier episodes. I would just like put it on while I was grinding and stuff late at night, driving around and stuff in Atlanta.
Apologize.
How do you apologize for what happened?
No, it's all good. It's all good. I appreciate the invite too, but it was fun. I would just like tune in, and that's back when Coops was on the show as well too. At the time, my understanding of British lingo and slang wasn't as good, but
Did we help?
Yes, a little bit, but also one of my previous co-hosts for the Battlecast podcast, straight from London, was dropping all sorts of British lingo on the regular. So I picked up quite a bit over that past year working with him too. So it's helped. I also had Zionic on the podcast, but I worked with him, but he's more American, I would say, than English, having grown up in California and then moving to UK later. But
East Anglia's finest is what we'd call him, Caleb, over here on the east coast of the UK. Bless him.
Yeah.
And I think we've interrupted your little friend in the corner.
Oh, my cat. Yes. Yeah, my cat Chuggy in the background. That's okay. She'll be okay. She's just doing her cat.
She does look
things,
adorable, I've got to say.
Yes, definitely.
Ian, leave his cat alone. Obviously, this is an audio podcast, and we're trying to paint a picture for you all. Caleb's got, as we see it, one of his cats sat on the back of his sofa, lovely leaning on the cushion, whilst looking at a very, very comfortable cat bed on the other side of the screen and going, no, I'm not going in there. I'm staying over here.
Well, there's a window to look out of there, I'm guessing, looking at it. So
yeah, she just goes through some moods. So like, she's been not using the cat bed for like, I want to say a little over a month or two for some reason. But her sister, who might make an appearance later, she stays on the top one too. So
it's like a scratch post, right? They never use a scratch post. They'll use your couch.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, but I've had them for 10 years. So I already know kind of how they operate and stuff. And
Caleb,
they know how to get under my skin.
I'm just going to get it in very early in the podcast. I am also a cat dad. So,
we amazing.
Yeah, we've had cats in and around for probably a similar time to you, certainly in our current household, and she's moved with us quite a bit. So, they have mannerisms, and we learn how to live with them, don't we? But
yeah. Do they chew your like headphone cords as well? Because I've replaced quite a few headphone cords over the years. Let's just put it that way.
I keep this bit locked well away from her.
Not in the shed.
That's smart. Yeah.
Former cat owner, so I get it.
But yeah, it's awesome to be on the show too. Been big fan for a couple years, so happy to be here.
Great to have you here. And meeting you in New York, I mean, I think Milo will agree to this. Actually, Milo, did you meet Caleb in New York? Yeah, you was off doing your thing in Central Park.
I said hello. It's when we were all on the sofas.
Yeah, I think we're in the creator area on one of the days.
Yeah, so it's great to have you here. We're going to make this as painless as possible, but you know how we operate. You've listened to the show, so give as good as you get, my friend.
Yeah, for sure.
For anybody listening, it is now time for you to
pop your incenses, champions. Let's go.
And for any of you that get anything decent whilst listening to this week's show, please post them on socials, @in Incense Podcast, using the hashtag Shinies of the Week.
Could you kill if I had the spelling?
Perfect, thank you.
Done. One take. Well done, Kate.
Yes, we can. It's hashtag SHINIESOFTHEWEEK. And the easiest ways to do that is using the three main socials that we use, which is Instagram, Threads, and X. But you can also do that on our Campfire group using our WhatsApp number +44 759 269 5696 or email contact@incensepodcast.com. And let's get that barbecue running, shall we, boys?
Turn it up, Ian. Turn it up.
And I'm sorry I didn't update the jingle, Whitfield.
Oh, dear.
Doesn't ease, does it, that jingle, boys? Does it?
After 190 weeks. Definitely
Well, we've not played it 190 times, have we? Let's face it. Maybe
every time, it's a horror.
25, 30. But Caleb, this is the part of the show, and we thought we'd get this out of the way nice and early, where we get to know you a little bit better. We call it Grill the Guest because we ask you questions, we grill you a little bit, And the questions can literally be anything from what you had for dinner last week to how you got into podcasting. So I will start off and we will go through, we'll gently ease you into these questions. So Caleb, you've been creating content for a while now, and you've quickly established yourself to be a very formidable PvP creator and shoutcaster. What got you into the whole content creation sort of ideal within Pokemon Go?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I've been playing the game probably like after a few days it came out. At first I wasn't really into it because I just played I played like, the first 2 generations of the Pokemon game on Game Boy when I was a kid, and then just stopped, and I was just, and then
Gen 2, didn't we?
Yeah, Silver was on Game Boy Color was for me, and then a bunch of people started downloading Pokemon Go. My friends were talking about it, and I was in graduate school at the time, or no, I think I just finished graduate school. I was working at the time, and my friends were like, "Oh, you got to download this Pokemon Go game. It's so much fun and everything." I was like, "What? Like Pokemon's like for kids? What are you talking about? Like, why would I play Pokemon?" And then eventually was like, "All right, I'll give it a shot." And I downloaded it. I'm sitting in my apartment. I was like, "There's like nothing here," and they're like, "Yeah, because you have to Pokemon Go. You have to go outside and catch stuff." I was like, all right, let's see how it goes. And then the next day, I used to do weightlifting. I went to like weightlifting practice, and I'm sitting there just like catching Pokemon for like half the practice. My friend's like, "Hey, it's your time to lift." I was like, "Wait, hold on, I gotta catch this like Rattata, right?"
But and then I just got like completely. Back in the
day. yeah, that was exciting back then too. So I got super into it and never stopped playing. Essentially after that, obviously like Pokemon Go, I think for a short period, especially this was before raids, there wasn't as many things to do with the game. So definitely. That's why I put myself as world's most stubborn trainer. I just kind of like stubbornly kept playing, even though most of my friends that played just stopped playing. But I was just like, I very committed too much time to this. So I just keep going. And then obviously when raids came out, it was a ton of fun meeting people for the first time that you were just kicking out of gyms before and things like that. I think for me, I've always been a pretty competitive person. So I was always looking to find ways to kind of compete with people. I'd be like, oh, like what's your Moltres catch rate, right? Or like, how many like X on throws can you make in a row? So, random stupid challenges like that didn't really mean much. And then PvP dropped. So it was like December, 2018. And me and a couple of my friends that I raided with locally really got into it. And then Silph Arena came out in January of 2019, and they're hosting these grassroots tournaments.
I remember.
And I was like so committed, right? I was like doing everything to grind. I was like raiding to get charged TMs to like TM stuff. I went from like 10 million Stardust to like 2 million in like a few months, right?
Wow,
like it was like
spending a lot.
I was like, yeah, I spent a lot of dust because I was short on TM, so it was actually easier for me to unlock a second move on it. Like let's say if I had like a Marsh Stomp I was trying to make, it would actually, if I didn't get the right move, I'd rather just make another one, try to double move in, hope for the right move set, because TMs were much harder to get back then. But before that, I was tuning into a lot of YouTubers and stuff, just lifestyle Pokemon Go stuff. And then obviously when PP came out, I started watching some of that, but I never really made YouTube videos myself for Pokemon. And it was May of that same year, 2019, we had a regional for Silph Arena, and they would host regional tournaments all around the world. And the winners of the regionals would qualify for their world championships for their grassroots format. They hosted one in Atlanta back where I was at, and people from like all over like southeast of the United States traveled there for it. At the time, I was the highest ranked player in Georgia, and as well as like my state, as well as like most of that southeast area. So I was like number 1 seed going into it. Yeah, so it was a pretty interesting meta, and one main problem with that meta was Metacham, which was still a problem in the meta for a while just because it's just so oppressive. It would beat Skarmory, right? A fighting type being a flying type, just because it would just muscle through power punches and there's no way to deal with it. Everyone's trying to figure out a way to like beat this, Metacham, especially with like shields up. One of my friends, a buddy of mine, he still does some of the graphics and stuff for PvP, but his name's Palmer's Up. He was like, hey, you need like a Haunter with a legacy Haunter with Shadow Ball. And this is before he had Elite TM. So all legacy moves are like really hard to acquire. I was like, well, I don't have one. And he's like, well, I mean, like that's the only way you could break up the score. I was like, well, I'm going to use Lugia instead, right? I think Lugia would be good. And back then, like no one used Lugia, right? It was hard to acquire in general because you had to trade it from one of those research Lugias and be lucky on the reroll. But I think mine was like a strong like 1460 CP or something, which was, pretty ugly. I was like, I think it's good. And he's like, no, like it just Lucis Skarmory, which is what everyone was bringing as their flying type. He's like, it's just worse. I was like, but it could beat like grass types and it could beat Metacham, right? Which is what I was going for. He's like, nah, you're not going to be able to make it run. I was like, you know what? All right, how about this? I will screen record every one of my battles at this regional. And if I win it all, I'll make my first YouTube video. He's like, all right, good luck, right? And Palmer's up, he's a big like science guy, right? Like he does this in his outside job as well. And he had all these spreadsheets and stuff. And he's like, yeah, Lugia's ranked solo. Like there's no one going to use it. And I brought it. And I ended up winning the whole tournament with it. And after that, it bumped my global ranking to number 2 in the world, which was kind of interesting.
Crazy.
And yeah. And so Latin America, their tournaments were so much larger. So winning a tournament there would bump you up in rankings even higher. So it was always hard to compete with Latin American trainers because of how many people were in that area. But there was at one point too, after all that month concluded, I think I was 4th on the global leaderboard, and the 3 above me are all like Argentinians, I think.
Wow.
But I mean, they definitely deserve to be there. But it was they definitely had a slight advantage as well with the big numbers. But after that, I made my first YouTube video, and people were like, "Why did you do this?" Right? And I was like explaining kind of my thought process of kind of countering the meta, and because essentially in my mind, everyone brought, for the most part, the same team. And yes, that team might be good into the majority of what people could bring. But if everyone's bringing the same thing, I just bring like that one thing that beats what everyone else is bringing. And I would have a huge event. Yeah, exactly. So that's pretty much how I got my start into content creation. And, obviously when Go Battle League came out, it made PvP a lot more accessible. You didn't have to drive, to go to a tournament and play in person. Back then you had to like be at least ultra friends to battle anyone. So like, to find people to
restrictions.
The restrictions were pretty, like, I think looking back on it, they sounded a little bit ridiculous, but at the time we just kind of went with it. So like, if I want to scrim someone in Europe as well, right, just like practice and not leak strats with our locals, I would add them and be like, hey, like, all right, well, I'll see you in scrims in like 30 days or something, and if they're consistent
Don't
with
miss
it.
an interaction. There you go.
Yeah, exactly. Don't miss an interaction. These days it's gotten a lot better for that too, which definitely helps for accessibility reasons. But that's pretty much how much I got into it. And my thought process back then was always to kind of go for like the anti-meta strategy. So like, everyone brings meta Pokemon that are very strong, and what's the thing that beats the common strategy, right? Was kind of how I made a name for myself. And so 2019 May was my first YouTube video, and been making content ever since. I used to work kind of like a regular 9-to-5 job, but I quit that at the end of 2020, and in 2021 January I just went like full-time content creation. And of course, over the years I was invited to commentate the official tournaments, which at the time I didn't even know what I was getting myself into.
The production on those is immense. It's amazing.
Yeah. And I didn't really follow the competitive Pokemon scene prior to Go being in it. I tuned in a little bit to Washington DC Worlds in 2019 because Trainer Trips was on there, right? And there was a little bit of a Pokemon Go PvP stuff, but I didn't really follow the scene that much. The funny story is how I got invited was there was a producer, like a senior producer. He shot me a DM on Twitter and he just said, hey, and that was it. And I didn't follow him. So I went to my message request folder. I'd like checking, and I was like, and sometimes you get random messages from people. So like, but I always click on the profile to see, maybe who it is and whatever. And I click and it says like producer at Pokemon in his like description for his Twitter bio. And I was like, I mean, anyone could put that, right? Like, I mean, we could write that any day and just say you're producer, but
we do.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, you can just make up whatever. And so I was like, there's a chance this might not be like legit, but just in case it is. So I respond back. I'm like, hey, what's up, right? And he's just like, oh, like you seem to like a lot of Pokemon Go and PvP. Would you ever be interested in commentating some tournaments? I was like, oh yeah, I've done a few like commentary stuff here or there in the past. I was like, are you looking to host something, host a tournament? It's like, oh yeah, you could say that. I was like, oh okay. And then he said, do you have a casting reel or anything? I was like, oh, like sorry, I don't. Like, I cast some tournaments on Twitch, but the VODs are all expired. But you can check out my YouTube channel if you want to see me like talk about battles and stuff. And I guess my mistake there was like I didn't take it very seriously, so I didn't link him anything. I just said it. I should have been more courteous or like polite about it. But he was really chill. He's like, all right, cool. Just drop your email. We'll be in touch. And then like a month or two later, I got an email from like someone official at Pokemon and like detailing out everything. I was like, whoa. I was like, this is kind of wild. It was like a schedule for North America regional tournaments, which were the only ones broadcast outside internationals. But I also got an email later, a separate email saying like, hey, would you like to commentate for the international championships. And I had no idea what that was. Or I was like, how's this different than like a tournament in Milwaukee, United States? But I was like, all right, yeah, sure. He's like, oh, it's in Germany, so you need a passport. And at the time, my passport was expired because COVID and everything, so no one was traveling. Yeah. So I like quickly expedited that as soon as possible. Like I think it got there, like I got the passport maybe a few days before I was supposed to leave for Germany. Luckily, it worked out. But it was my first time actually ever in Europe at the time too. So I didn't really do much travel before all this, but it was a great time. I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. After that, kind of the rest is history, and I just been doing it ever since.
That's fantastic. Before we move on to the other boys, Sue picked up on something you said, and she'd like to know, what did you study at grad school?
Yeah, so I did my master's in public health, particularly on behavioral sciences and health education. And mostly what I was aiming to do with that degree was how to kind of behavior change and stuff through media influence. Because I would say these days probably a little bit better, but especially at the time too, like education wise, like the education field is a little bit behind on social media and mass media, I think, right? Because it's kind of grown a lot over the past few years. So I really want to focus on like the impacts of like how media can influence behavior and stuff like that. So I did work in a public health job for a year at the time before quitting and doing this full time. But yeah,
that was an incredible story to get through everything right up to the showcasting. But it's good. We love backstory. Absolutely amazing. But I'm going to throw a question out that's sort of related to the commentating and the showcasting is, out of all the events that you've been to and the battles that you've commentated over, do you have a particular favorite one that you could recall?
Yeah, there's definitely been a lot of really incredible battles and moments. I think of late, there's two actually. I would say the first one, there was a tie in a grand final. So this was in the Milwaukee Regional. It was my second tournament I ever commentated at the time. And it was Doombug versus Rise Occasion, and Rise Occasion was on the winner side, so it was in the grand finals. So it was a best of 5, and Doombug had to beat Rise not once but twice in 2 best of 5s because he's come from the lose side. So he beats Rise Occasion on the first best of 5 like 3-1, like stomped him. And then going into the second best of 5, it was actually much closer, right? So I kind of picked up some of the strategies, and they were tied 2-2. So the winner of this game just wins it all, right? And it's the champion and etc. And they simultaneously KO at the same time at the very last second.
Oh my goodness.
So we end up having a 6th game in that bracket reset. So I think at this point they've played like over like 10 games back and forth. And then Rise, of course, wins just barely in that rematch game. But just tying on a final potential game, which is
that's memorable. Definitely.
Yeah. It was kind of nuts, but it really just showed like, how like even the two players were, and like skill wise and everything. This was back in 2022, but more recently it was probably in Hawaii where Marco Galde kind of pulled off probably one of the most impressive wins I've ever seen against his opponent, Bassi, who hard countered him at every single turning point. Like if you look at their two teams, you look at the lead matchup, like what's the hardest counter here on this team? Like the Bassi had it, right? And then what's the hardest counter on the safe swap? Bassi had it as well. And the hardest counter in the back, like if you knew what your opponent was going to bring ahead of time, you would just lock in the team that Bassi brought and like just be like, oh, I should win this. And Marco, they played like the most insane like battle I've ever seen. He like makes a crazy catch, and like his timing and everything was like absolutely on point. Like it was something where like you're watching, you don't even, knowing all 6 Pokemon on the field, you don't even see like the win condition, right? It's like one of those where like you just can't even see it coming, even though you have more information than the players do. But I remember at that specific moment, that's when I lost my voice for the weekend. It was only day 2. So I typically lose my voice at like really hype tournaments, and especially 3-day tournaments. But yeah, that one happened a lot earlier than I expected.
By the Sunday, your voice must just be
this
like
battle is so epic. We're done.
Yeah. And then some people in backstage are like, hey, you gotta like save your voice. We still have like we just started day 2 and you still have to be here for day 3. I was like, yeah, I would try my best. But yeah, it was a pretty epic one. Yeah.
Awesome.
That was actually one of my questions I had for you, Caleb. That's actually quite ironic. I'm only going to ask you one GBL question because I think we're going to talk a little bit more about it further in the show. But at the moment, what would you like to see happen differently in GBL from its current form right now? Is there anything in particular you'd like to see change?
Oh yeah, I would like to see a lot change, honestly. I think when they PvP and GBL just came out, it was a ton of fun, right? Because it was new and it was a very different part of the game, and it's very direct competition with someone else. But I think we've gotten to the point where the skill ceiling's been reached. Like I think for someone getting new into GBL, obviously there's still a lot to learn, but over the course of years, some people that have been playing for years, they just can't get any better for the most part, right? Like sometimes it just comes down to, are you shielding a bait or are you shielding like the big move, right? And thinking about it like from an outside perspective, it's kind of wild that that's kind of how the game operates, because if you look at other games, it's not just coming down to like a 50-50 call, right? Like imagine like a football game, right? Where like the entire game's decided on a 50-50 call, like a coin flip, right? It sounds kind of ridiculous, but that's kind of how GBL and Pokemon Go PvP is at the moment at the higher level at times. So I think they would definitely, it's 3v3 and stuff, and the mechanics in general hasn't really changed much since its inception.
Lag.
Yeah, it was, and just always lag and stuff. But I would recommend, if possible, we would do like 4 Pokemon instead of 3. Makes it a little bit more interesting. The games are pretty quick anyway, so adding a little bit more time to game is not necessarily a bad thing. Adding even a third charge move would be nice to add some extra coverage. I think, every couple of seasons they add a bunch of moves to stuff like Ampharos and like Claydol and everything. And it's great. These things could learn like 20 different charge attacks, but they can only still use 2. So it doesn't really help it too much, right? Like, it's like, oh, it's great that it's like people say like, oh, it's like a Swiss Army knife. I was like, I mean, it's kind of like a Swiss Army knife if you can only use 2 things on the Swiss Army knife, right? But like, it doesn't like, it's not as useful as
the
you
bottle
think
opener
it sounds.
and the crosshead screwdriver. There you go.
Exactly. Yeah.
And of course, everyone's going to go for the same 2 moves, I'm guessing, as well.
Yeah, bottle opener for sure. But yeah, so I think those 2 things would definitely make the game a little bit more complex, and it kind of varies, right? Certain metas are better than others. I think the last one, like Worlds, was maybe not the best meta. It was a little bit more like RPS, like sometimes you lose lead, you lose a safe swap, you just pretty much lose a game. And you kind of see it coming in a lot of situations, right? You have to pull off like a near miracle sometimes to do it. And sometimes like the game is to the point where sometimes you could make no mistakes and you still lose a game. In my mind, I think that means that the game is a little bit too simple, right? But Pokemon Go PvP, it's meant to be a little bit more casual, I think, and it's quick. And I think any games that are quick, there's just, less room for error and less room for like comebacks, right? The longer a game is of any kind of game, you have more opportunities to kind of make certain comebacks happen. So those will be my top 2 things: is do a 4v4 mode and a third charge attack if possible. Hopefully the third charge attack doesn't cost like an arm and leg, because it's already pretty expensive to get
absolutely.
So
some of the legendaries.
Accessibility for Pokemon Go is not the best at times either, especially if you want to get into PvP. Like I said, I spent like 8 million dust in like 2 months. So
don't give him ideas. Don't give him ideas.
They really know how to make this a forever game. So
that's true. Away from PvP, but not too far away from PvP. Welcome to our podcast, but you're not new to podcasting. For maybe some people listening, they probably don't realize that, as Mark said at the top of the show, you have your own podcast, The Battle Catz. Talk to us about that show, and again, how that got going, because you've gone through a few co-hosts I've noticed as well over the years.
So I wasn't the one that actually created it. It was actually Zionic, who's also based in the UK, and he's a big PvP creator, probably the biggest at the moment. But maybe not really collab, but we talked a little bit throughout the years. He actually super, like, for those that haven't met Zionic, like super nice guy, like genuinely one of the nicest guys I've met. Like some people are just nice online and stuff, but like he's actually just like a really nice and good person. Like I remember my first YouTube video back in like May of 2019, I made it and he was like one of the first people to comment on it, like, oh, great video and stuff. And this was like someone I would watch on YouTube. I was like, oh, I know this guy, and I met him for the first time in the Chicago Go Fest in 2019 as well too. It was really great to meet him there. So over the years during COVID and stuff, we would like chat once in a while, and then so he just shot me a message like, hey, look, like I'm looking to host a podcast. I used to do a podcast with like some type of podcast through his Patreon with someone else, but they kind of quit the game. And so he's like, hey, I'd like to restart and start a new podcast with you if you'd be interested. And I was like, I've never really done any podcasts, but I'm open to it, right? I'm down to try and see what happens. I even listened to some podcasts here or there while like playing the game. So I was like, yeah, it makes sense, right? Like people are grinding or sitting in traffic
the passive
a lot of times. Yeah, exactly. So he invited me and we did it for a while too. It was like maybe a year or so. It was a little bit tough to schedule too because the time zone difference, but also he's very busy with his family as well. So his time was a little bit more restricted than mine. So it was just harder for him to make the time for it. So we weren't as consistent towards the later part of our run together. But at a certain point, he just said, hey, look, like, I just unfortunately don't have time for this, but I would hate to see it go. So like, if you would like, take ownership of the podcast, bring on new co-hosts, like, I hope you continue and stuff. I was like, yeah, sure, I'm down. So after that, I invited Speedish Chief, who is also a commentator as well, to be my co-host for a while. And then, life got kind of busy for him too. So he left after a year. But when he joined, we started making more consistent episodes like every week and stuff. And so it was a lot better. And then, it was a lot more consistent, I should say. And we started doing like a video format, which is cool as well. We would do some like all sorts of like random bets and stuff. I had him like shave his beard off and stuff at one point. So like having a video format for that's nice.
Wait, Phil, get ready.
We don't do video. So
so we'll do like a little friendly bets, but like up the stakes a little bit for the content purposes. And then after I brought on Anacor, who I mentioned earlier is also from the UK, and we kind of took the bets to another level because like after the beard shaving, you gotta make it more interesting. We did like the one chip hot chip challenge. I had to bleach my hair at one point because I didn't think I was going to lose the bets
a while ago.
Yeah. So that was not fun for me, right? I think my heart sank literally when I realized I lost that bet. But I committed to it. And then Anacor dressed up as Missy at EUIC this past year, right?
Milo's thinking, I might have seen that.
I'm sure I saw that.
Milo.
You probably have, but yeah, he's not the best looking Missy, but the loser of that bet had to dress up as Missy. I was like, there's no way I can lose this. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I can handle that much like public like humiliation. But he went with it too. He was a bit good sport about it.
Fair play.
We kind of just continued.
I only went to the store for this year, and I remember walking past where the actual event is happening. I think I looked in and saw it, and I was like, what on earth is going on there?
Yeah, I'll see if I can find a photo for you all to see. But and then after Anacor kind of he kind of got burnt out from the game in general. Just needed to take a break, so he kind of left it. Oh, here's a photo I could show you all. That's him right there.
That's brilliant.
Yes, I remember. Yes.
Yeah, he sent me this selfie the night before. I was like, oh, he's like, bruv, this looks so goofy. I was like, I was
brave to walk
the midriff and everything. Yeah, I knew I just could not lose that one. But anyway, he kind of took a break from the game a little bit too, and just so currently I brought on 3 additional co-hosts. So even if one quits now, I'll be good. Kind of like what you all do, right? A four, well, I guess 3-man podcast, but when you all had Coops on too. But so I'm now I have Hurricane Catz, PP Steve, who's from Australia, and then Tiwasto, who's also from
it's tough,
North
isn't it, when
America
you've got that many hosts
And time zones as well, dude.
Yeah. Well, PP Steve's a big trooper because me and Tiwas are on the same time zone. Catz is only 3 hours ahead of us. Steve is like, me and him is like a 15+ hour difference or something, but he's a trooper. He'll wake up at 5 a.m.
So he takes the hit.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. I'm recording at noon my time, and he's recording at 5 a.m. So, he's yeah, he really is. Hey, I appreciate the dedication and stuff. So
we have the same issue when we get the Aussies on. It's normally like 5-6 a.m. for them.
Yes, yeah. They're very accommodating too. Yeah, I think we had Zoe on once too, and she was also super accommodating at the time. But yeah, that was kind of the podcast run. I think we just hit episode 170 yesterday when we recorded.
So you're running about a similar number to us. You've been running for what, about 3 years? Just over 3.5 years?
Yeah. I think we started Battlecast in like 2021. We started a while ago, but like I said, we weren't as consistent with the episodes during like that first year and a half. So yeah, but after that, we've been more consistent. So yeah, I get the grind. It's it's definitely a good time for sure.
It is definitely a grind, and keeping it consistent is a bit of a challenge. But good on you guys for doing that.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm sure you all have fans that you get this too. But if you don't upload on time or something, I don't know if you all do. Maybe you all do. But sometimes we're a little late on it. People be like asking, "Hey, where's the episode? Where's the episode?" I was like, there's people actually like listening to this.
It's when the podcast platform maybe doesn't get it online quickly. And
we had an
on
issue
Spotify. What's going on?
Didn't post it on time one day, and my OCD kicked straight in, and people did message.
But those are nice messages to see as well too, because that people care. Yeah, exactly.
The thing I like about your podcast is you're not spending the whole hour and a half, 2 hours talking about PvP from start to finish. It is a very, very sort of natural and easy listen. So I do like that about your show.
For sure. I appreciate it. Yeah. We tend to go on quite a bit of rants at times too. which is why I apologize if I'm long-winded too. But yeah, but some people like it too, and some people might not be the biggest fans, but it is what it is.
Well, it keeps things organic.
Exactly.
Good vibes.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you mentioned that before getting into the showcasting and everything, just after COVID, you'd not done much traveling. So when it comes to visiting these live events and getting involved in them, what has been your favorite destination that you've been to?
You don't have to
that's
say
a
London.
great question.
Great question, Milo. Great question.
Why was it Hawaii this year?
Hawaii was definitely nice. Japan was very unique too, right? Because I think, especially for like countries that aren't really English speaking, it's definitely more difficult to travel. But it is also very interesting because you have to kind of learn about their culture and stuff, and things are just very different. I think the biggest downside of Japan is just that it's absolutely miserable in the summer. Like I've never been in a place more humid and hot, and they also don't really go in cars a lot. They're usually just taking the train or walking. And I just remember like towards the end too, every night I would just like lay down my bed and my feet would just be like sore and I'd be tired. I'm like, I need a rest, right? But that's why I'm looking around, I'm like, wow, everyone in Japan's like fit because they're just walking like miles every day. I think like my 1 week in Japan, I had like 150 kilometers or something walked that weekend.
That was just following the route.
But it was very unique experience for sure, and culturally wise, it was very unique, and obviously, a lot of things to do Pokemon related there too. That was, I would say, outside of that, Hawaii was nice, but it felt like almost like a little vacation within the United States almost, right? Because they speak English and stuff, and a lot of it is like American culture, but slightly different. But I think Melbourne, Australia was actually really nice. I was there for the Oceania International before they stopped hosting it, but they hosted in 2023, and I was there in February, and it was beautiful there. Honestly, when I was there, I was like, I would consider moving here if it wasn't like just so far from everywhere else in the world. But it's just like too far from like family, friends, and everything. It's just like it's a whole different world out there. It was really nice to be there. It was a beautiful place. But yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the international spots in general are always good. Germany was great. London is fantastic. I've been there 3 times now. Yeah, and they've hosted Worlds and the 2 internationals there. And they'll host another one this year there as well.
That was our first.
I know like that one London spot, like the back of my hand at this point. I was like, oh, don't worry. I like me and my friend, like some of my friends that are there for the first time. I was like, yeah, meet me at the airport. I know exactly like which train to take and everything, and like how to get there. Yeah. Like here's how you do the, you scan your card for the train and everything. It's great. And London's just like, super clean and stuff too, and it's great. And I don't mind the cloudy weather, to be honest. I actually am a fan of it. So, the international ones are cool too. The most boring ones are probably like cities within the United States, because a lot of them are kind of just like, they're like, more or less about the same.
I guess it's familiar.
There's less going on. Yeah. I would say probably Japan or Australia.
That makes sense.
Top 2.
Good answer. Yeah.
Let's take it away from GBL. That's not the first time I've said that tonight.
Take it away from
Only joking. So, Caleb, what are you watching on TV right now, bud? You got time for anything?
Yeah, I'm a big show watcher too. I mean, I've always been very fascinated with like a lot of forms of media, but definitely like TV shows and movies I haven't been keeping up with as much. But this was back in like 2020 COVID. It was someone I was dating at the time, and we were living together for a couple of months. She started watching a bunch of like reality TV shows on Netflix, right? And I was just like, like some dating shows and stuff, right? And I'm just sitting there, I was like, or like Too Hot to Handle, or like Love Is Blind. I'm just sitting there, I was like, this is not really that good, right? But just like, I felt like it became an internet meme where I like look over for like a few minutes, and then I'm like hooked as well. And I'm like, wait, what about this? I go, why did he do this? Or like, what did she say about this? Or whatever. And then I end up just like watching all these Netflix reality shows with her. So I obviously watched a lot of stuff outside the reality shows as well too. But one of my favorites that I've recently watched was actually Love Is Blind on Netflix, but UK edition. It was really cool. And there was one guy on the show. He talked exactly like my previous co-host Anacor, like exactly like the lingo was the same. They both did like boxing and stuff. Like they like talk exactly like I like understood exactly what he's saying because I've been so used to like talking to my friend Anacor for so long. I literally like sent him a clip. I was like, "This is you on the show." I was like, I thought you were special, but you just talk like any other guy from London. It seems like, yeah. And he watched it. He's like, "Dude, that actually sounds just like me." But so he agreed too. But yeah, definitely, I've watched maybe one too many reality TV shows here. They're big fan of some different anime as well, like Attack on Titan's one of my all-time favorites, which I got back into anime kind of around when I got back into Pokemon too, because similar vibes. I was like, that's for like kids, but I was like, wait, these shows are kind of dope. But yeah, I tune into a bunch of different things. I like the more serious stuff too. I had to finish House of Dragon season 2. I haven't really finished that yet, but it's a good show. The Boys is actually one of my favorites.
The Boys is brilliant
On Amazon. Yeah, The Boys is amazing. I know some people are like, oh, it's a little gruesome. I was like, dude, I'm all about that. Like, and like the political references are like, really, really dope to see as well. So
there's no doubt, is there, on that first scene, is it, that's going to be brutal, that show, isn't it?
Oh, the intro, yeah, because you're watching, you're like, oh, okay, like, it is what it is. He's in a store, and then like it just kicks off like right off in the deep end too, right? And I love how like real it feels.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of like, brilliant in it, isn't he? He's a great character. It's just it all works, amazing. Doesn't it? It's so
incredible.
Good.
Yeah. Homelander as well too. Like like I don't know, like where I haven't seen much of Anthony Starr before this, but I'm like, man, where was this guy at? For the past couple years. But yeah, I love the shows where like it's not very clear like who's the good guy, who's the bad guy, right? It's a little bit like it's not so black and white, which I feel like it's kind of how life is too, right? So it's a good mirror of that. But I watch too many stuff. Like we could talk on and on for a couple hours about TV shows if you like, but there's a good chance I've seen most of what you've seen. Yeah.
I'm laughing with you on the reality show because I think I've had the same shows on in our living room, mate. So
yeah. Sometimes it's like kind of cringe and stuff, but it's like hard to watch. It's like kind of watching like a train wreck.
It's hard to watch, but you're still sucked in. I've fallen victim to Love is Blind UK at some point. I think, what on earth is going on?
Married at First Sight, in my estimation.
Married at First Sight. Yeah. Actually, one of my friends, when I first moved to LA, she sent me this. It was like an application to be on Love is Blind LA, and I didn't actually fill it out, but I looked at it and it was like 100-something questions. It was a ton of different questions, and it was like the official actual survey from like Netflix, and they haven't aired Love is Blind LA yet, so I don't know like if they've done it or what, but like they usually film it years prior. So
yeah,
I'll just say this: I'm definitely not on the show, but I guess there's a chance I could have.
Or
been,
are you?
But, yeah, or am I?
So was it the only thing that put you off was 100 questions? Then was it you're down for it? Otherwise, you were like, brilliant.
Honestly, looking back on it, right, and I wasn't in a relationship at the time. I think if it were today and I had the survey, I was in a similar spot as then, I might have just filled it out just for the giggles and see like what happens, right? Yeah, like what's the worst that
exactly.
Because I think on one of the seasons, the one of the contestants, he said he was like, oh, he's like a ranked Pokemon player, right? And of course, like the moment he said that, everyone's like, wait, what? Especially like in the Pokemon community, especially the commentators were like, wait, what? And this, so like we're Googling this guy's name, and I don't think he's even played an official Pokemon tournament, but he would play like Smogon, whatever, like the VGC game online, and he was technically ranked, but so he was like in the thousands, like top like 5,000. He was like really poorly ranked,
but
But the way he sold it, he made it seem like he was like a highly ranked Pokemon player, but then everyone started calling him out and stuff too. So.
It's like us, isn't it, boys? Like we're all ranked on GBL, rank 3.
We're all ranked to a degree. Yeah.
I've actually done a battle this season.
So how many daily players does Pokemon Go get? Because I'm ranked in the bottom 10. Probably.
Yeah. But his now wife though didn't realize it. I mean, she was still impressed, so I guess it worked out at the time. But,
rank 1's brilliant. Rank 1's the best.
Fake it till you make it.
Exactly.
Before I go into my last question for you, Caleb, in this section, I'm going to bring up, and you may have seen it pop up on the screen, a message that Francesco, our Italian admin, put up. And he wants to know, what are your thoughts when this thing works? What are your thoughts on Anaheim and San Francisco for the next 2 worlds?
So I think, especially for the Pokemon Go community, we're kind of newer to, the official Pokemon Championship Series, right? So like we weren't, at least me personally, but I think a lot of Pokemon Go players that don't follow the main series game and the card game probably didn't realize, prior to London Worlds in 2022, all the Pokemon World Championships were hosted in North America, and pretty much all of them were in the United States outside of one in Canada, right? And a lot of these locations like Anaheim, Hawaii, like San Francisco, these were all like spots they've hosted tournaments in World Championships in multiple times prior. So I think going from London, which is really awesome to see, and then to Japan, And then Hawaii also, like, back in North America, but still like a more interesting place than other places. People were thinking like, oh, these events are always going to be in a really cool vacation spot. Nothing wrong with LA and Southern California as someone that lives here, but Anaheim's not nearly as exciting, I think, compared to those. But
Disneyland?
There is Disneyland. Yeah, I actually haven't been to Disneyland, actually, having lived here for like 2 years. But there is Disneyland, so there is that, and we have great street tacos here. So
there you go. Do actually,
so we get some tacos
really
in the area. But
I had tacos when I was out there.
Yeah, I would say, like, out of like the cities in the United States, like, I think LA is definitely one of my favorites, but it definitely doesn't strike like vacation spot like Japan, Hawaii, or even London too, right? Especially because they've only hosted in North America and stuff. But I think for personal reasons, it's very convenient. Like Anaheim's like a 20-something minute drive for me, so that's kind of nice. So if I buy too much stuff from the Pokemon Center, I could just throw in my car. Like, it's not a big deal. Usually I'm trying to figure out how to pack
wild on it, not worry about suitcases.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, because I always see people with the giant plushie. I was like, how do you transfer that?
So you have to buy an extra seat.
They're not thinking about how they're going to get on the plane.
Exactly. Yeah. So there's that. And then San Francisco's about like a 5-6 hour drive for me, and a very short plane ride. So back-to-back California World Championships, which I think some people are definitely apprehensive about. For me personally, I'm not super surprised, and I'm kind of okay with it, but this is kind of a personal take on it, is that as someone that travels a lot these days, I'm okay with just going to a World Championships just for Worlds and just leaving and not like vacationing extra. And like, that's what I'll do Anaheim is just literally here. And then for even San Francisco, having been there before briefly too, like, I probably wouldn't stay like extra days, or extra week or something like that. Unlike, Japan, Hawaii, those are like different stories, even London, right? But I think for people that are traveling from outside of the United States, maybe that could be a nice spot for them to like vacation for a little bit, see Disneyland, see,
I think it is, because we came out for Sinnoh Tour and I stayed on for another like week, 10 days, went to Joshua Tree, and there's lots to see.
I would have loved to have stayed on a bit extra.
Yeah. So I think a lot of people from North America are underwhelmed by the California World Championships, but I think for some other people it might be pretty interesting. What I really appreciate is that the Pokemon Company released not only the locations for the next 2 years, but the dates. Because the flights
and people can
got
plan now.
because they were getting super expensive. I know a lot of people were really probably annoyed by the fact that they didn't even know what the dates were for this year's World Championships in Hawaii until after Europe International Championships. They announced at the end, which is like, I assume that Pokemon Company has stuff already planned out, so they should know the day. So it makes travel a little bit more accessible, which is nice.
True. And it could be worse. We could be back at Randall's Island for GoFest next year.
Yes,
followed by Worlds.
That is personally one of my least favorite places to be as well for GoFest. That were you all at the Seattle GoFest by chance?
Yeah, Ian and I did Seattle.
I went to that one, and that was beautiful. And
I love that one.
That was so nice. A smaller GoFest, but it was nice.
Too.
Yeah.
Yeah, weather was amazing. City was great too. Having grown up pretty close to New York as a kid, like, it's an interesting city, but I think Randall Island in general is just like,
it's just the location.
It's so hard to get to.
They could have picked somewhere that was a little more accessible.
Yeah. Seattle was magic. Yeah, Seattle was definitely.
The reason I kind of brought that up, it leads me into my next question. So we've talked about places you've been and where you've enjoyed going to. Well, the world's a big place. We know next year there are going to be at least 4, 5, 6 live events dotted around. Where would you like your very favorite place to be that you could go to for a GoFest? I mean, we know the tour's going to be somewhere in the States, but where would you like to go to for a big IRL event?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, assuming like cost out the window, whatever, I think one place I would really love to go to is actually Taiwan.
Oof,
I think that's good too, because they've hosted some events in Taiwan already. I've never been to them.
Safari there, didn't they, last year?
Yes, I remember the early days too, even like way before PP, way before COVID, even like Trainer Tips and like probably Zoe and stuff. A bunch of people like went to Taiwan for probably some type of safari or some event, I remember. And I think I remember in that video with Trainer Tips, he even said like, I think the mayor of like the capital or something, like someone higher up in their politics, invited them to their like house to like have a meal and like talk about Pokemon and stuff. And so like, one, it's like already seems like a place that's very accepting of Pokemon, and but also like it just like culture wise, it's definitely very different. Ethnic background, I'm actually Chinese too. So, but I think China and Taiwan's cultures are still quite different, and it's somewhere that I've never traveled to before, but I would definitely be very curious to see how that place is for sure. Korea would be interesting as well. A lot of the Asian countries too, because I think I haven't been to as many. Singapore's always interesting. Having seen like Brandon Tan's videos and stuff.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
Just these are places that are also like weather-wise maybe not the best, but I think I could stick it out just for like a fun experience. yeah. But New York Go Festival again, it wasn't like that was any cooler, right? But yeah, those would probably be my top spots.
I'll say, Marky, if you wanna, you can do your final epic question whenever you're ready.
Yeah, my epic question. What's your favorite color?
Oh, that's actually a good question. Believe it or not, I don't have a favorite color, which maybe is weird to some people, but they're always like, why don't you have a favorite color? I was like, I don't know. I always wonder why people do have a favorite color. Like, there's certain colors I know that like, better on me, like apparel wise, right? But like, wearing it. But when I was a kid, I think I liked red a lot. But over the years, I like to trick people with that question. I was like, hey, if you guess my favorite color, then, you win or blah, blah, blah. And no one ever guesses that I don't have a favorite color, I guess. So.
Good answer. No, that wasn't my final question, but that was my. I think it's good to know. I've never asked that question to anyone that's been on the show before, so that was quite a nice one. So anyway, anyone that plays Pokemon Go knows there's only 3 colours, and we've all got our own opinions on those. But
Caleb's favourite colour must be red, being a Team Valor member.
Well, it used to be red for sure, yeah.
There we go, Ian. There we go. Right.
Sorry, I had to put it in there.
Anyway, we are a very equally distributed, apart from Instinct. Instinct's a bit rubbish, isn't it?
You said not me, but I'm not saying I disagree.
So Caleb, I'm going to ask my question. It goes on a tangent, but hey, so my man, you've got a year ahead of you. You've been planning it beginning of the year. You've got all these live events you've got to go to. You're sort of halfway through the year now, and you're like, oh, goodness gracious, I need to let off some steam. This is crazy. The amount of competitive battling I've seen in the first 6 months of this year. Now, you're in a location you've never been before. It's in Taiwan. What are the odds? You're there. What are the odds, mate? It's happened. And you've got familiar faces around you, which is all part of the territory. But you have the opportunity to make this legendary day that could go into the evening even more legendary. And you've got space to bring a wingman or wingwoman or Pokemon along with you. Can't be a cat, unfortunately. That's a shame. Think about the pet passports. It'd be a nightmare. My question to you, Caleb, is which Pokemon would you bring along with you to share that experience? What would be your Pokemon wingman?
It doesn't need a Pokemon passport either.
No. Yeah, it doesn't need a Pokemon passport either. I would say I'd probably just go with my favorite Pokemon, which would be Gyarados. I don't know if you all played like the original main series game, like the red and blue and stuff, but
red,
evolving and then evolving that Magikarp into Gyarados was probably the hardest thing that I had to do as a kid, right? Like growing up and just like working for, because, I begged my mom to buy me that like guidebook and stuff. And it shows like all the power levels. They had like the little stickers you could put on for like when you finally catch a Pokemon. And so I remember looking at the guidebook and I saw Magikarp and I was like, all right, this thing looks very weak. But then on the next page, it's just Gyarados and the stats are like off the chart. I was like, wait, what? Like it actually turns into this, right? And it actually becomes that strong. So I just remember back then I was just like, grinding really hard to get that Magikarp evolved. Like in my mind, it felt like eternity. I was trying to get this thing evolved. I don't know how long it actually took, but and there was no like experience share back then. You couldn't just catch a Gyarados in a wild. It's like very hard to do. And when it finally evolved, it like just all paid off, right? All that hard work and stuff. And it was just like, I just used it like every time I battled, I would use it. It just became my favorite Pokemon from then on. So I'd probably bring Gyarados to Taiwan if I had to pick one. Yeah.
First time ever picked that one as well.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Really? It is, yeah.
It brings back fond memories of the game when it first started, didn't it? When you saw that little flappy fish on there and you went, 400 candy! You'd be like,
yeah,
Jesus.
No, definitely. I played, so after Silver, I didn't play any of the main series game until, I guess you could count like Legend Arceus, I guess. But like I also got Scarlet out of the Scarlet Violet series. And I don't know, maybe I just sound like too old by saying this, but I kind of miss the old games more where it was like two-dimensional. You're just like riding a bike around the grass.
There's quite a jump in the art style, isn't it?
Yeah. Especially having not played any of those. But I think like the open world stuff, it just felt a little too like free and open for me, right? I kind of like miss the old school style where like, this Team Rocket just pops out of the bush and you're fighting him and you're just going through like the dungeons and stuff. And those dungeons were hard to figure out. Like I would have to use the manual to like figure out how to like go through these ice cases if you're just sliding around. But yeah, the new games, I think they're beautifully done. They're like too good looking for me. I think, it's too open and everything looks too good. I liked it when it was like simpler and you're just like on the Game Boy Color in bed, just like, playing this game and stuff. But
8-bit can't beat 8-bit.
No, 8-bit can't
exactly.
Someone mod Scarlet and Violet into 2D 8-bit.
Yeah.
So I think the grill has been pretty successful on there. We've got a nice, I go for a rare, to be honest.
I'd say that was medium well, actually.
Would you? Okay, that's not a steak.
Yeah, I think we grilled Caleb quite well there.
Maybe it's a bad analogy. But anyway,
bad Milo.
We do like to make a bit of a joke on this podcast regularly. The fact that we don't do PvP or when we read out the news, we don't talk about the power bits and pieces.
We never talk about the GBL season.
It's just not something that we vibe with. But since you are vastly more knowledgeable than the three of us put together tenfold over, we're going to throw some PvP questions and stuff about GBL at you because we get your expert opinion. You're on the stand. There you go. So talk to us a little bit about the current state of the PvP game and basically the new meta change that came in with this max out season.
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, kind of adding on to what I said earlier about what I would change about the game. I think the current state is that the really good players, they're already just really good. And I think like I went into World Championships in Hawaii this year thinking that whoever wins this whole thing is going to be really good at the game. There's no doubt about it. But also to get to that point, it also takes a decent amount of luck, right? That you could have like been knocked out by anyone at any point in time, especially because everyone going to World Championships are already really good at the game, right? There's like, you could just have like a kind of a fluke loss. Like I said, like you could play the game perfectly and still lose, right? So I would say that's kind of one of the big factors of the state of the game in on the higher level. But overall, though, I think this current meta is definitely interesting too. They nerfed a bunch of things and buffed a bunch of things that are kind of irrelevant prior. So it has completely shifted what's usable and stuff. And I personally have some like mixed feelings on this. I think it's nice to see different Pokemon just be super relevant, right? Like Gastrodon.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Golurk, right? Being useful, and these Pokemon like you would just never even consider be like relevant before. But at the same time too, like for those that spend all the time grinding out, XL, Metacham or Lickitung or like a Bastion, stuff like that, like, people that spend a lot of resources into making these Pokemon, they're all just like kind of unusable now. So
start all over again.
Start all over again. Which again, like I said, like Niantic's good at making this game a forever game, I guess, even on the PvP side. My personal take would have been like, I think it would have been good to like make some of these Pokemon that are unusable usable, right? And make them good. And then for the good Pokemon, just like keep them how they are, right? So like just so that there's a lot more variety and everything could be used. It's kind of like, there's always Pokemon you see in the game, even if you don't do PvP, even if you do like raids or rocket battles, you just be like, I can't ever use this Persian anywhere. Like there's just certain Pokemon. It's kind of like the main series game. There's just certain Pokemon that like, they're just unusable, like they're like cool to look at, they're fun to catch, but like you're never going to actually battle with them or use them for much, right? And I think it was cool that Niantic were able to like buff up some of these Pokemon that were like pretty much unusable, but I think at the same time, nerfing a bunch of things that were already pretty much in a good place just kind of wastes a lot of people's prior investment in it. But who knows, maybe in a year or so they just change it back up and redo some of the things, so it could be good. I would say in more recent times too, for the current state of the game, it's definitely been a little bit buggy, at least based on my personal perspective. It seemed like at least PvP wise has been a lot more buggy since the max out season started. Could be maybe a few days after that, I don't know, but like that's when I noticed a lot more bugs, particularly within PvP. And again, I don't know if that's related to the max out season, Dynamax, whatever, but it's definitely been a little bit less stable. So hopefully, fingers crossed, that gets fixed too, especially because we have 2 tournaments this upcoming weekend. And
yes, it would be good.
Viewer experience wise, it might not be the best, right? if it looks bad, but also from a player perspective too, because people are spending a lot of money to travel to these and get hotel accommodation, stuff like that. And it would be a shame that it just doesn't go well because of lag or something else, right, in the game.
So, Caleb, one question I think we've never really actually asked before the show is, what advice would you give anyone listening to the show wanting to get into GBL? What advice would you give them as a starting point?
Definitely. I mean, I think the best part about GBL is you could just do it anywhere at any time, right? You don't have to go anywhere. You could just sit on your couch and do it. I think if you don't really have any experience in GBL, it's definitely could be very daunting, right? Going in, maybe the early battles are easy, right? Like, I know some of my friends that they start playing GBL. It's like, oh, like I'm stomping all these people. It's great, right? And then they hit a wall and they're like, wait, like this person knows what they're doing. Like I just got wiped by one Pokemon. What's going on, right? So obviously I'll try my best to like help them with team building and stuff. But I think obviously if you aren't friends with someone that particularly does a lot of GBL, one good place to start is definitely just hopping onto YouTube and checking out some videos and stuff and just seeing like what works and what doesn't work. Because even some people I coach too, they'll use like a Pokemon that they like, right? They were using like a Kanto Marowak, but this is before it got buffed. So now it's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Before it wasn't that good. And they're like, yeah, I just like Kanto Marowak. I was like, yeah, that's fine. And I think like part of it is like the game should be fun, right? So use whatever you want to use and what you're having fun with. But at the same time, if you want to be honest with you, like you're probably going to start losing a lot at a certain point, right? Even though like I love Gyarados, but I'm not going to ever use it really.
So were you saying that Mark shouldn't be taking Swaddles in?
Yeah,
the right cup
okay. I mean, if you really like it, they go for it, right? But I think if you're at a certain point, I think most people also enjoy the winning aspect, right? You get more rewards as well, and it's just fun to kind of win from time to time, even if you don't win all the games. I think PvPoke is also one of the best resources out there. PvPoke.com has the rankings, has the recommended movesets. It's maybe not always fully accurate, but it's one of the most useful resources that even the top tier players use consistently, right? And then I think checking out some YouTube content could be good. I think the biggest caveat for recommending YouTube content is also at a certain point too, it's a lot of people make videos for viewership, right? And I get it, right? Because views help you, grow your channel. For some people, it's like their full-time thing. So it makes sense that they want more views and stuff. And they'll use like fun Pokemon, right? Things that might not necessarily be good, but they'll make it look good, right? Because sometimes the people that make the YouTube videos, they also happen to be very good at the game. So they might be able to win something, but like the average person might not be able to, especially someone getting into the game, right? Take it with a grain of salt, even if you watch my videos as well too, right? Like, the top part with watching YouTube videos is also when you get started, and this is really all things in life, the less you know about something, the harder it is for you to know like what's a good source, right?
Yeah, you don't
like
know
even like let's say like if you don't know, then there's no way you'll know if it's good or not. Not necessarily everything that people post on the internet and YouTube is accurate, but it is a good place to start and get into it and kind of just see what other people are using and understand stuff. Because when I started PvP, I was trying to use Spirit Tomb, and I was like, oh, it's so good. Like it's only weak to Fairy. Like it's got to be really good. And I just couldn't really win anything with Spirit Tomb. I was like, why is it not good, right? It's in theory, it sounds great, right? But when you put it in practice, it's actually not as good as it seems.
I was like that with Mola. I thought I struck the gold. I thought I struck the jackpot with that one, and then it only got me to about rank 6, and it was a problem.
It's very good in Love Cup actually, which they didn't have this past year, but usually around February, it's actually kind of strong in Love Cup.
There you go, Marky. Its time will come.
Unlike Swaddles, Milo, whose time will never come.
No, little cup Swaddle.
You actually never know. You never know, because Gligar for the last year, right before it got nerfed, the top meta of flying type, right? And like if I told you like a few years ago that Gligar would be the best PvP Pokemon, no one even believe me, right? They'd be like, what? Like the pre-evolution of Gliscor, right? But you never know. Something maybe one day.
One day.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to go right back to the start of PvP. And we know you're a coach. I'm actually taking away lesson 1, so we're going to give the listeners lesson 1. Talk to us about the basics of building a team, coverages, what people need to look at for their lead, their safe swap, and then the back end.
Yeah, definitely. Again, especially in Go Battle League too, it's much more simple. You just bring 3 Pokemon, and it's not like the tournament series where you have like 6 and you could pick 3 and strategize around it. So I always tell people too, once you like find a team that you're enjoying, just play that team constantly so you learn the ins and outs of it, right? Because there's a lot of people that like, they'll be like number 1 on the leaderboard and they'll post their team on X, right? And a bunch of people will try that team. And some people will succeed with it and also climb with it. And other people will be down in the dumps and like be struggling, right? And so it's not a team issue, right? It's more so like learning how to play the team, right? So that's always my recommendation. But if you're trying to make your own team too, I think generally speaking, what you always want to do is just like have a backup plan, right? Because probably 50% of the time, or maybe even more, you're not going to win that lead matchup, right? You're going to be in a bad matchup. Let's say it's just like, you're running a Golduck or something, water type into a Venusaur, right? Not a great matchup, right? And so you need to have like a plan B, right? And so I think the easiest way to start out when you do PP is just running what they call an ABB team. So you have two Pokemon, the two B Pokemon in the back that cover the A Pokemon. So let's say you have a Golduck and it's really weak to grass types. You could bring, let's say, a fire type in the back, right? Like a Talonflame. You could bring two fire types in the back too, right? To be like very strict with it. So you could be a Talonflame and a Typhlosion, right? Both great into Venusaur, and you swap one. Because what you have to always anticipate is the moment you bring something that counters a lead Pokemon, most people aren't going to be just staying in a Venusaur into a fire Pokemon. They're going to swap out, right? So you always have to account for, okay, well, now that I lost my Talonflame, let's say here, if that's your only answer to Venusaur, you probably lose after that. So having that backup plan. So essentially you have like two plan Bs essentially, right? Plan A is you have Golduck and you find a great lead and you could win the game from there. But plan B is if you run to bad lead, you have two Pokemon in the back that kind of cover you. So that's always a good starting point for it. And obviously as you get more into the game, there's more complex structures on how you can structure your team of three. But I think that's probably the easiest way. And honestly, a lot of people, even top tier players, still use those kind of strategies consistently because it's probably the most reliable way to win consistently. Even the best players in the world probably win like, I want to say 55 to 60% of their games, which doesn't seem like a lot, right? But it's just like, no matter where you're at, like most people will probably win or lose about like 40 to 60%, right? So wanting to be on that higher end is
almost like that coin toss you talked about earlier.
Oh yeah, the coin toss. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, especially in Go Battle League too, right? You just can't predict what people are going to run, so it's okay to lose, right? I think just trying to win the ones you can is the most important.
Sort of expanding off of that, and with the new shape of the meta that's come in, are there 2 or 3 Pokemon that perhaps people who were looking to get into GBL and PvP that they could look to try and build a team out of with this new meta?
Yeah, so this new meta, honestly, Clodsire is very, very strong. And I know, we had a community day for it. Clodsire and Feraligatr are probably the 2 strongest Pokemon by far. And particularly Shower Feraligatr if you have one.
Okay,
it just hits so hard. Like you could kind of muscle through, like you could even beat a Azumarill, that like water type, very bulky water type that resists water damage. You could just throw straight Hydro Cannon and like wear it down. It's actually kind of nuts.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's super strong. Because a lot of the things that used to beat Feraligatr were nerfed, so they're not really around anymore. Even if they were, Clodsire just covers that as well. So the two of them just like provide each other like really good support for each other. Even like most of the best players right now still run like some type of Clodsire and Feraligatr team, and they'll add in like a third. So that's a really good starting point. And both of them are not XL Pokemon, so pretty accessible.
There you go.
And for Clodsire, you just want to run Poison Sting as a fast stack, and then Earthquake, and then you have the choice, if you could unlock a second move, go with either Stone Edge or Sludge Bomb. Both of them are pretty solid. You don't actually need Mega Horn. That was a community day move, but Mega Horn is not very good on it at the moment. I would say if you want to play it safe, just make a different Clodsire for PP, right, without Mega Horn if you like, just to just to keep your community day exclusive move just in case you need it. And then for Feraligatr, you just want to run Shadow Claw and Hydro Cannon, and then Ice Beam if you have the second move as well, just to have something to hit at grass types too.
And what league would that be at, Caleb? Would that be sort of a Master League? Was that Great League that we talked?
Great League, yeah.
Great League,
yeah. For Great League for sure. Yeah, we have Great League coming up this upcoming week. Ultra League and Master League definitely a little more complicated for sure, but Feraligatr is super strong in Ultra League as an option. Giratina's always been really strong there, and then Master League's kind of wild right now. They made Rhyperior pretty strong, so Rhyperior, Primarina even after that community day is actually pretty solid as well. So a lot of the non-legendaries are pretty strong. It's just Master League's very expensive in general, right? Because you need to ideally go for
level 50
all
everything.
XLs. Yeah I don't even have everything built, so I'm working on it, but I'm still short on quite a few things, and I'm nowhere close to my Zygarde cells, and my Zygarde's like a 11, 12, 11. So
yeah, I'm in the same boat.
Yeah.
You say why?
So I have not been motivated on my routes, but
don't blame you, mate. Don't blame you.
Yeah.
So it feeds in quite nicely then, Caleb. So listeners have built a team. They've got a bit of an idea about how to build it now with certain Pokemon. When's the best time to attempt GBL? So, I mean, you might be limited if you listen to this show. You might want to do it. You might not have a choice, but you assume start of a season. But is there a benefit of starting mid-season towards the end of a season? I mean, what does that look like?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I always tell people too, right? Like, just play when you would like to play, right? Because I don't think I used to be the kind of person where like I can't miss a single battle, right? I need to do my 25 battles every day. I don't want to fall behind. And then at a certain point, I just like miss a day. And then after missing that first day, it got easier to just miss other days. And now I'll go like multiple days sometimes without playing GBL and stuff, and it's okay, right? And I think part of it just like don't stress too much about it and just like have fun with it. If it's not fun for you anymore, then just take a break and stuff. I know like they usually have go battle days or go battle weeks sometimes in the season, and it'll be like 100 battles in a day. And I've done that before where I'll just like sit there for 100 battles and like it's exhausting. Yeah, it's exhausting. And like these days I almost never even do all those battles. But some people really commit to it and stuff. It's a lot of Stardust to be gained and rewards, which is great. And I think like if that's your kind of thing, then definitely go for it, right? But I think everyone has their different play styles and stuff. And unless you're trying to be like the first player to like legend in the season or like hit number one the leaderboards, I wouldn't stress too much about it too. And honestly, even if you want to be that kind of person, like if you're really good at the game, you don't even have to play every battle. One of my teammates, he's actually he's from Japan. His name's DFH, but he's probably like one of the best players I've ever like seen in this game. And he regularly hits like the leaderboard. He plays like maybe a quarter of the battles everyone else does. He just has like a really insane high win rate. He's like some grad student, so he's always busy with other stuff outside of Pokemon. So he just plays as few as he can, but like just like wins a ton. So it just depends on your own personal goals, right? Like I think some people just play just for the rewards, and I don't blame them. Some people just like they go in the battle and they just like leave right away just to get some Stardust, and it's part of it, and that's totally fine if that's your thing.
I think I can speak for the three of us. We just do the go battle days to get the elite TMs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and then don't use them.
Hey, that's what
to save them. Just hold them.
It's good to have them. I have like a 30 or so of each as well, just in case. But
you never know. So
you never know.
If there is anybody, and let's face it, there are new people coming to this game all the time. It is, as we've said a few times tonight, a forever game. There may be people coming to this game that really like the idea of doing GBL battling, but they're just starting out with Pokemon. They've maybe played Pokemon GO for a while, but they don't really know their types and effectiveness. Do you have a hack that you could tell people, an easy way to learn type effectiveness, what's weak against what beats them?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I think Pokemon GO is also a little bit different type of effectiveness from the main series game, right? Like we don't have immunity and stuff, and some of the things operate a little differently. I think it was Game Press was what I was using. So I'll like look up a Pokemon and Pokemon Game Press, and let's say like it was a Snorlax, right? You could look and it will show like percentage of type effectiveness and stuff. So it'll show like, oh, Snorlax like double resist ghost type, right? So you can see it on. So I'll just like look up Pokemon here or there, just like, and over the years I kind of just picked up on it. And I remember too, like I would be a couple years into PvP and I would just like forget. I was like, wait, fighting resists bug type, right? And then I was like, wait, bug also resists fighting. It was like super confusing, right? Because some of the types are not like, they're not very intuitive, right? Like ice is super effective against dragon, right? But ice doesn't resist dragon type, right? Dragon's only neutral there. Whereas let's say like water is super effective against fire, but water also resists fire, right? So there's like certain things where like it's not like always like a 1-to-1 ratio where it makes sense. And I think over time, like just messing around, just like willing to try different things can help. But also just, I remember I specifically just use Game Press to look up stuff. Pokemon GO is also just like a weird game, like PvP, where certain type effectiveness might not even make too much sense, but just certain moves are good. So one example is like Charizard with Dragon Claw as a dragon move and Blast Burn as a fire move. If you could throw a Dragon Claw that's not resisted, right, just neutral into like a water type, let's say like a Swampert, it actually is worse. It does less damage and it doesn't hit as hard like per energy that you spend than the Blast Burn, even though Blast Burn is resisted, because Blast Burn is just such a good move, right? And so that's just something that like if you're playing the game and just going on type effectiveness, you wouldn't even realize. You'd be like, wait, I'm throwing Dragon Claw. That's a better move because it's not resisted. But if you have the chance to, you actually want to throw the Blast Burn because it's actually going to do more damage and it's more efficient energy-wise. So there's just certain moves like that are just like so much better than the other move, even if it's, resisted and stuff. So just understanding that takes some time, right? And so I definitely wouldn't stress people over too much of that to start, but I do remember me personally, I just use Game Press a lot to do that. They have a bunch of type effectiveness charts as well, but for me personally, like I just look at that and just get even more confused. I'm just like, this is too much for me. Let me just work on one Pokemon at a time, right, and see how it goes. So
wow,
yeah,
there we go. Hopefully that hasn't put you off. And despite what we've said over the previous 189 weeks consecutively, go and have a go at it. Let us know.
No, it's fine. That was great. Random question, but do you all have something special planned for episode 200? Because that's a big milestone.
We've got some ideas.
We're percolating. Okay. Yeah, we're percolating.
Yeah.
Caleb, they've always got ideas bubbling on in the background. I'm sure they'll be
something will be cooking for 200.
But it's only 10 weeks away as we record this. So
someone says you want to invite John Hankey as a guest.
We love Mr. Hankey on the show.
Sure.
But I mean, kudos to yourself. And for anyone that hasn't listened to Battle Cats, about a year ago, you got Steranka on your show, which is a massive coup. How did that come about? Just on a tangent.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I mean, so Michael Steranka, he's a director of events, I think, at Pokemon. I think it's his official title. Unless it might have changed in the past year. I'm not sure. But he doesn't actually directly work with PvP, but he's a big fan of PvP. He plays the game himself. He's gone to some tournaments as well to spectate, and he has friends that play PvP as well. So he's always been interested in that aspect of the game. And so it was always a guest that we wanted to bring on. And I was with Speedish Chief at the time as my co-host. So I think we just reached out to him. And, Michael and I, like, whenever I see him, we always chat and stuff too. So we're definitely friendly like that. And he was like, yeah, sure, I'm down. Just send me some questions ahead of time. I just need to make sure like this is approved from Niantic ahead of time. And we just went with it. And funny enough, it was a very odd coincidence, but this also right before he came on was when Niantic had that bug where they expand the radius and you could see Pokemon like way further.
The precursor to Spatial Rend. Yeah.
It was prior to Spatial Rend, right? It was Spatial Rend without the Spatial Rend.
Yeah.
And universally, I think everyone loved it. And then Niantic was like, oh, actually, it was an accident. We didn't mean to do this. And then people were, brought out the pitchforks. So
that's right, because all the creators have said, it's a genuine thing because
they'd all got they said they got confirmation from there that it was legit.
Yeah.
And then they said, wait, no, it isn't.
Yeah, whoever confirmed that nice then probably got talking to, but I don't know. But either way, so kind of a controversial situation at the time, and that happened right before we recorded our episode. So Michael was like, you know what? I don't want to pretend like this is not happening. So if you want to ask me about it, I will happy to explain it to you on this episode as well, even though that wasn't part of the original docket of questions we had for him. So he explained it. Yeah. And so that episode of ours got like the highest viewership of any episode, I think. But it also was it was a very heated comment section, I would say, on our YouTube that I definitely read through and did not repeat on a future, because usually we read through the comments from previous episodes. I was like, I'm not going to read these, right? But I do appreciate Michael being transparent, being on, and like, again, like it's, my guess is it wasn't his fault that something like that happened, but he was kind of like a messenger there. But overall, it was nice to have someone from Niantic to, share their insights and be willing to be, ask questions. I didn't necessarily agree or love every one of his answers, but it was nice to at least hear,
some of them,
like,
if I remember right, it's a long time ago, but some of them were kind of political non-answers.
Yes, yeah. And sometimes, and he gave us a heads up. There's like, he's like, there's just some things I just can't fully get into, which is totally fair, right?
You get that,
yeah. There's probably NDAs and just general things that he just can't share, but that is kind of how it goes sometimes. Yeah. But hey, if John Hankey comes on for episode 200, could be a good time.
I think episode 200 drops the first clear week after New Year's Day next year. So that would be what a start to a new year, right?
What a start to a new year. He has 10 weeks to prepare for this, right?
Strong.
25.
It is. It's the news.
There we go. So as we talk about new things in the game, not quite New Year talk, we have got an event coming up very, very shortly. Because, we have referenced it probably earlier in the show already about, certainly on the intro, but we've got the Galarian Expedition, which is going to be starting on Friday, October the 4th at 10 a.m. local time, running right through to Friday, October the 11th at 8 p.m. So a full week. Yay. And,
unbelievable.
Unbelievable. And as this show is released, you will have had a couple of days prior to play with it if you listen to us on the Sunday that this episode drops. But we are going to break it down bit by bit, and we're going to mix it up a little bit because I'm going to start by talking about a big part of this event. Yes, we're getting another Master Ball, everybody. The Masterwork research that is attached to this event is pretty similar to previous ones, if not identical, because Masterwork research will be available to purchase for $7.99 US, or the equivalent pricing tier in your local currency during the event. And completing the Masterwork research task will allow you to receive the following: 1 Master Ball,
Nice.
18,000 XP, 10,000 Stardust, and encounters with event-themed Pokemon such as Galarian Farfetch. Oh, and they're giving them away now. Galarian Mr. Mr. Crime, sorry.
It's funny he's back in paid research.
That's a good point, Mike. That's a good point, Mike. I missed the irony of that. And more, exclamation mark. This Master research does not expire, so you complete it at your own pace. Hey, just what we need, more Master Balls. But
you say that, I still haven't claimed my third one. I've literally purposely just left the research sitting there.
Well, you'll have another one now.
Yeah, you have another purple ball.
You'll have a pair of them sat in the back.
A couple of purple bills just sat there waiting.
Nice.
And of course, as with any event, well, not really, because there's been form just lately of not putting wild Pokemon in events, but this event has some good news. It does have wild encounters. The list is quite interesting. You've got the male Nidoran.
And the female Nidoran.
Yeah, we have Abra as well.
We've got everyone's favourite buzzy bolty thing, Magnemite.
Wailmer.
Sfeel the Beach Ball is back.
We have Aeron as well.
Everyone's favourite Dynamax Pokemon at the moment, Beldum.
Shinx is finally back in the wild.
You've got Fungus, which is a boosted Dustmon, by the way.
Oh, very good there. And then we have Zoe's favorite Pokemon, Dedenne.
Love
and
that
we've got Lotland's favourite Pokemon, Wooloo.
Some trainers, however, could encounter a Chansey.
Or even an Absol.
And if you're lucky as well, you could get a Molga too to round it out.
Yay.
Probably the best of the three, isn't it?
Well, I don't get to reveal Pokemon, but I can reveal that all of them have got the opportunity to be shiny. So
if you're lucky.
If you're lucky, yeah.
If you're lucky. Now, we talked about shiny Zacian coming into the game. Obviously, its counterpart, Zamazenta, is coming to the game with this event. So we've been out for a couple of days already, but for the first time ever, you'll be able to get it as a shiny. And it's a good shiny as well. They're both really good shiny legendaries, this one.
They are, and you said last week, it's if you are hardcore and you go ham, you could get more than one of each, which, as Whitfield said, hasn't been able to be done in any previous Pokemon game.
So there you go. Go and get yourself a nice magenta dog.
Speaking of shinies as well, this is a pretty interesting one. For the daily adventure incense, you will also be able to encounter shiny Galarian Articuno, shiny Galarian Zapdos, and shiny Galarian Moltres if you're very lucky. We don't know what these rates are, but that is a pretty big one.
It's huge.
I think they look kind of funny too, because the shiny variants are just the Kanto variants.
Yeah,
I noticed that.
Yeah. The artist may have got a little lazy there, but I think it's kind of clever at the same time too. One thing I'm actually not sure about is if it's only shiny for daily adventure incense during this 1 week event, or if it'll always be potentially shiny after the events.
True, it doesn't say.
It doesn't say. So I guess we'll find out.
Let's hope
it's only out for 1 week.
Let's hope it's permanent.
Yeah.
Because not everybody can drop a daily adventure incense daily. And of course, people are going to be raw of time in that bad boy. I can pretty much guarantee it.
If they've got the candy though to do it, because
and the Stardust,
candy and Stardust,
yeah. But it is also worth noting that it was confirmed, I think, from Niantic.
It was. I was going to go there. Yes.
Yeah. These are like the tour wild legendary, so they cannot flee, but they're not guaranteed.
It might take you 1,000 balls to
catches.
catch it, but it's not going to run.
So it won't run away from you, but it will break out and cause a fuss. So if you remember possibly trying to catch a wild shiny Uxie at Sinnoh, it's going to be like that.
An hour later, you're still stood there.
There'll be people here, though, they'll just go, do you know what? Damn it, Master Ball. You're annoying me.
Master Ball anyway.
Well, I always said that's what I'd use my Master Balls for, but if they're not going to flee, I'll just sit there Ultra Balling it all day.
Mm-hmm.
Or red balling it in for jokes.
Or red balling it just for the jokes. But as with any event that we've come to see in the last year or two, there are going to be collection challenges. There will, of course, be field research task rewards. And there will also be, Marky's favourite, Pokemon showcases.
Woohoo!
I thought you were going to say web store boxes.
No, we don't talk about the web store. However, you do get some decent bundles in the web store. So if you've got the time and you don't mind a little bit more inconvenience from buying it on your phone, check out the Pokemon GO web store.
Can't say fairer than that, can we really? Anyway, we've got some October news.
Is the news.
Wow, there he is again.
No, it was Nick last time.
I'm referencing from
both.
last week. We've got them both. But anywho, we have got the spotlight hours for October. Something a little bit different this time around, but we will reveal what that looks like. But yes, starting on October the 1st, we've got Pidove with 2 times transfer candy. On October the 8th, we've got Galarian Slowpoke. Woohoo! I hear you say. 2 times Evolution XP. On October the 15th, we've got Shroomish with the Stardust boost before Milo shoehorns that in with 2 times Catch Stardust as well. So double Stardust.
That's
2 times Catch Stardust is mental, actually. Double Stardust. Wow.
On Shroomish.
And your Star Piece Whitfield.
Yeah, use your Star
Wrong
Piece.
podcast.
Yeah, other podcasts are available. However, we've got we've got the hat trick. They've done this before. I think they were 4 actually, once before, but we've got 3 different Pokemon that'll be playing with us on October the 22nd. Ian, behave. They are going to be Ghastly, Duskull, and Litwick. It's got a bit of a...
They're a week early, aren't they? If that's
Halloweenish, a week early-ish theme to it, maybe. And they can all be shiny, and there's 2 times Catch XP, which makes this one more intriguing because on the Halloween Tuesday, which is actually October the 29th, we've got 2 times Catch Candy as the bonus, but a mystery Pokemon that can't be shiny, which makes me think it could be something.
A new Pokedex.
So yes, exciting times. Let's see what that one brings.
Definitely.
Mimikyu Spotlight Hour, bring it on.
Going into October, we'll still have Zacian till about like the 4th, and it'll be in that first raid hour on October 2nd. Could be shiny as well. And then we got Zamazenta debuting in the shiny form from October 4th to the 14th, which will be in that 9th raid hour. And then we got Giratina Origin, so the one without legs, coming back as well from the 14th to the 28th. Typical Halloween raid Pokemon. And there'll be 2 raid hours for that one, the 16th and the 23rd.
Yeah, I think we know somebody will be losing their marbles over that one.
I probably will too, because I still need to get a good one. But and then we actually and we have Darkrai to round out the month of October from the 28th, extending into November 4th, and there'll be 1 raid hour of that one on the 30th. All of these could be shiny as well, and of course we have Shadow raids. Shadow Entei will be spawning on the weekends in October.
Nice.
Oh, jolly brilliant.
I like it. That's lovely.
And then,
jolly brilliant, Ian.
And then we have some mega raids as well on top of that. So if you're not into legendaries, you can do some megas. From the 4th to the 14th is Mega Blaziken. 14th to the 28th is Mega Sabewai, and then 28th to the 4th is Mega Banette. And of course, all 3 of these can be shiny as well when caught.
And are any of those good in GBL currently that people would want to potentially raid?
So generally speaking, you can't use megas in GBL, but
the raids in general. Sorry, let me rephrase that.
Well, no, but once in a while though, you could use megas. Yeah, so like on special events, you can. So it could be interesting. But it'll probably be Mega Blaziken would be the one if you to bring it. But interesting enough, in some grassroots formats, sometimes they allow megas too, and they'll have like different slots. So one of the Grassroots formats has a Master League slot. So if one person's really big in the Master League, has Mega Pokemon, they could do that. And one of my teammates, he actually clutched it out for us to win the week for us, and he ran a Mega Blaziken. And it was kind of wild to see because you almost never see that, but it was pretty scary. Yeah, it was pretty interesting to see.
Caleb, if one of us was going to be a blithering idiot and ask a stupid question, it was going to be me. These two would be very careful not to.
Ian, don't be harsh on yourself. That's the last time me and you played GBLs when you could do that, mate. So don't worry about it.
That's the only time we played GBL was when you could use Megas.
No, we were forced to play GBL, actually, I'm going to say it, by Leo at Go Fest in Madrid.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Mark whooped me and then got his ass handed to him on a plate by, what was her name?
Paul Lasha?
Yes.
Yeah. She's very good.
Oh,
I know
really?
She's one of the coaches there. Yeah. She's pretty good, yeah.
I led with my Alamola Mola in that battle, believe it or not. Her eyes lit up even more. She went...
Did Ian lead Mega Sableye?
Actually, to be fair, I just conceded. I thought Mark could one-shot me.
I did as well.
And so I'm like, yeah, well done, Mark. And Mark's like, I'm still tapping here. I'm like...
You should have brought Mega Sableye into her. You could use it in friendly battles, so you could definitely throw her off on that one. Yeah.
All right, cheers, Fran. It was a pleasure to see Paula destroy Mark. Oh, here we go.
It's a new spectator sport.
I think Destroy's been generous, Francesco. I think annihilate me. Annihilate me.
It was
Do you like that?
annihilation.
Obliterated.
Yeah. Mark just played the weather. It's too hot.
I can't see my
throwing me
screen.
off my game.
Yeah.
I did see you step up, Milo, to take part. Me and Ian were the ones that did the
No,
calls.
Milo was just sunning himself in Sardinia.
Oh, no, he wasn't. Sorry, Milo. I'll take that back. Cut that out. Milo wasn't there.
No, Mark, even if he was, he wouldn't have stepped up.
I'd have still failed miserably.
It's at Francesco there instead. Yeah, Francesco didn't step up. Do you want to be destroyed, to be fair? Fair play, mate.
Well, on the note of destroying things, we're going to have a new set of max battles for October. So they'll run October the 1st through to November the 1st, probably at 10 a.m. your local time. And they were hinted at...
Mate.
Huh?
G'day, mate.
You went a bit Australian there.
Did I? Well, good news.
It's gone South Africa and he's changed.
It was hinted at on the trailer for the Max Out season. The Generation 8 starters are getting Dynamaxed. So you can get Grookey, Scorbunny, and Sobble in these Max battles. And actually, we do have a nice shiny potential in 3-tier Max battles with Phalanx. So we had the raid day for it a couple of weeks ago. Now you can get the Dynamax version of it. And there is a triple question mark one there as well. So there'll be something coming along. Watch what it is, we don't know.
Watch this space.
Watch your power spots.
Keep an eye on them. They'll be closer than you think.
So new month brings a whole new array of events. And as we've already talked about, the Galarian Expedition will be running October 4th through the 11th, 10 a.m. local to 8 p.m. local. Now, we all know Mark's favourite community day of the year, Swaddle Community Day, will be October the 5th. That'll run 2 to 5 local time. And then the following week, on October the 12th, we will have a Mega Raid Day. I don't think it's been announced yet. Watch this space.
Oh, should we take a vote on it?
Go on, let's take a vote. Yeah, let's take a vote.
I'm going to vote Sharpedo because it's dark tide for Halloween.
That. Yeah. Maybe Camerupt?
Woo!
There's not many megas left, are there now? So we are really sort of
left.
no. So I'm going to go just because I like to throw their seasons all out. Mega Low Bunny again for Easter.
One of the longest standing megas in the game. Now it gets a raid day.
Fill your boots, people.
Go on, Caleb. What do you think?
I would take Mega Heracross again.
Ooh.
That was
interesting.
I didn't get to do a lot of those. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good shiny. We're getting 2 variants as well.
Yeah, Milo did a few of them, didn't you, Milo?
Some, yeah.
So the last few events of the month, mid-month, October the 15th through to October the 17th. They're a very small event. We have a magnetic study that will run from midnight through to 11:59 p.m. So a little bit different on the timings there. October the 19th, we have another research day because we just had the monkey research day last week, which we'll potentially talk about later. That will run 2 to 5 p.m. local time. And then everybody's favourite event of the year. Well, not everybody's, but most people's favourite event of the year. The Halloween event is going to start with part 1 on October the 22nd. It'll run to October the 28th. Now, October the 26th and 7th, so over the Halloween event, we have a question mark event, which is to be announced. So something Halloweeny, pretty safe bet. And then the second part of the Halloween event, where, let's face it, it generally gets a little bit better over the Halloween period itself. That will run from the 28th of October through to the 3rd of November, 10 a.m. local time to 8 p.m. local time. And then October the 31st to November the 3rd, it's another question mark event. With historically, we've had the Dia de Muertos event. That isn't announced here, so will it be the same thing, or will they be putting something new in there?
A week of question marks. Can't wait.
There's quite a lot of question marks in October.
There is. I like a bit of mystery. Really do. I think, honestly, October's usually a banger of a month in Pokemon Go, and they're starting off with Galarian shiny birds and a brand new shiny legendary and the Dynamax. Everything looks very full on. The events are interesting. I am very, very excited for the month of October in 2024.
Max out so far. The first 2 months, they've been big. They have been really fulfilling that promise, I think, and October looks
absolutely
packed.
I think it's a statement, isn't it? Because the last season was a little bit, it had some really good bits in it, but it kind of ended on a bit of a down, didn't it? It kind of just went a little bit.
Let's just hope they don't fumble the ball on November.
They're not going to fumble your Master Balls, Ian. Don't you worry about that. Even though you'll have 4 of them keeping you propped up. But it just makes you wonder, though, what would you use your Master Ball on now, doesn't it? I know I didn't want to sort of jump in with that when I did the bit about the Masterwork research. But what would you use them on? Yeah, but what would you use them on now? And the obvious one is Hundo Legendaries.
Use a Master Ball next weekend, actually, Marky.
Hundo Legendaries, Ian, obviously, because I've used 2 of mine, unlike you. What would you use a Master Ball on? Would it be a Hundo Legendary on the last throw on a raid, or would you still let it run?
That's a good question. I would probably vote Hundo Legendary on the last ball if I didn't have one of it already.
Yes, agreed. Now there's no need to use them on the shiny Galarians.
It's mad, isn't it?
Legendaries.
It is mad, though, isn't it? Because we assumed that they would. You'd need to use them, wouldn't you, Caleb? You'd have thought that, wouldn't you?
Because
how rare they're going to be.
I'm glad we don't need to. I haven't used a single one of my Master Balls yet. I've been just hoarding it for the right moment too. But
we're collectors, though, aren't we? Really, the game wants us to collect. It's
collect some balls.
Collect some purple balls.
I'm big on the hoarding. Yeah,
absolutely. A lot of stuff there. Let's hope, as the guys have said, let's hope that October. Well, it's carrying on from September. Let's hope November follows suit. That's a long way away. Let's enjoy October. So we're going to get to a staple part of the show. It is the getting to know you part.
And now, children, it's time for Getting to Know You with the Incensed Podcast.
Well, it's a nice simple question for a fun show tonight. So my getting to know you question is, what name would you give your pet cat if you had one? Obviously,
nice.
And you can use your cat's name if you love it and you chose it, is what I've put in brackets, Caleb. So you have got the luxury there, but you might have to pick one over the other one. So don't let them hear that. So, cool.
I got a story on that one. So the one back there, her name is Cheggy. And she was the first cat I got. They're sisters, but the other one wasn't adopted right away. So my friend was holding on to her. So it was the first one I got. And where that name comes from was actually someone I dated back in college. And her actual name is Peggy, but her nickname in high school is Cheggy because like her last name is, had a CH in it, so they would like kind of like mix it up a little bit.
Yeah,
almost. I love it. And then she was just talking about, she's like, man, Cheggy would be such a good like pet name.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, you know what? I will that is a great pet name. Maybe I'll name my first pet I have like after that. And she's like, yeah. I was like, yeah, I'll down. I could promise you that. And of course we eventually break up, right? So Cheggy's also not like, it's kind of, but obviously I'm not going to change my cat's name at a certain point, which for me, like I think it's a cute name, but I think the person I dated right after at the time was not a fan of the fact that my cat was named after my ex. It caused a little bit of a strife for a little bit. Oh no, she knew. She could figure it out. I didn't even have to tell her. Like she knew, right? So it was it was there were some arguments over it for sure, but it's okay. It's all good now. And I don't know my ex that I was named after. I don't. Unfortunately, she got cats of years later, and the unfortunate part for her is she can't name her cats Shaggy now because otherwise she's naming her cats after her ex's cat, which is even weirder. So, so I guess I still came out on top on that one, but that's how that name came about. Yeah.
So would you call yours Cheggy then, Caleb? Is that your favorite cat name?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Cheggy. My other cat's name is Cranberry, but it was actually my friend that suggested that name, so it wasn't something I came up with. Yeah.
Cranberry. Lovely name.
Quite apt with Thanksgiving coming up soon.
Yeah,
Ooh,
definitely.
delicious.
Definitely. Yeah.
No one's going to be eating cranberry. Don't worry, you're all right. Don't listen to what he's saying.
I tried feeding to her before, and she was not a fan. So,
so fussy like that. Same with ours.
I don't like the citrus. Yeah.
Ian, you've had a cat before, so you've got a bit of a tuning in with cat names. What would your favourite cat name be?
I'm really bad at naming things, so I will just go with the name that actually, funnily, Caleb, my ex named my cat. So I'll just go with that because actually it's quite a cool. I think it's quite a cool name. It's out of the ordinary. Minka.
Ooh,
that's a great name.
Minka. I like that name.
So I didn't take that name. I can't take credit for it, but that's what we named our cat. So I'll just throw that one in the mix.
Francesco thought you were going to say Clarkson, Ian, but that's obviously.
Milo's going to name it Jeremy.
Jeremy the cat is great.
I've never had a cat, so I don't know what. Would you go down the Pokemon naming route that a lot of people do? I might take a random slice out of How I Met Your Mother and name it Wait For It for no particular reason at all, and just if anybody asks, just really confuse them.
That'd be good. If you're ever unsure, just ask your ex what you should name the cat, and that seems to be a good method too.
Yeah, solid method.
He's not letting us. I bet he's got a cat somewhere called Lindsay in a barn somewhere. He's kicked it out of the house 10 years ago, Milo. It's like roaming the streets of Bristol somewhere.
Call it Vigoroth.
No, I love Sue's name. We had Norwegian forest cat named Axel. Love that name. Beautiful name. Beautiful type of cat as well, actually. Norwegian forest cat. Love it. And Minka is a cute name.
Just name it after another random animal. Just
like
axolotl. Alan. So that's a type of key, Marky.
Very good. Well, I'm going to stay true to our cat. So we've had cats before. We adopted a couple of cats from a household that obviously had exhausted their time for them, unfortunately, which is a sad thing. And we took a couple on. One was called Pixie. And Pixie's backstory, she was actually from Belgium, and Belgium owner had brought her up to the UK, and came from Antwerp, on the streets of Antwerp, battling. She was a lot older than Suki, who was her younger sister. And we went round to see them both. We thought there'd be a process for the go. Yeah, we think you might be all right. Do you want to come out next week and pick them up? But as we started talking to them and seeing them, they started packing them up into their boxes quite quickly and gave them to me and Lise. And we're like,
"Can I take them? Take them."
So one was I think one was 16 or 15 when we had her, and one was 3. 6 years later, we've still got Suki, who actually just turned 10 this year, and Pixie. We had Pixie for about 3 years, 3 great years with Pixie, and I'm going to do it for the memory because Suki's lovely, but Pixie sat on my lap, and that always gets a win for me with a cat. So
some affection.
Yeah, Pixie is going to be my choice. I used to call her Pickle, but her name was.
Oh, that's a good nickname.
Pixie, great.
Pickle's
nickname.
quality, yeah.
Yeah. So. Pixie, it's going to be mine. So I'll put those to the poll and we'll see if that resonates with anyone. And if we get loads of names of people's exes that they've called their pets, throw them in there and we'll read them at the end of the show.
We'll have to see how that turns out. But boys, we can, give a very top-line view on how the psychic unspectacular of 2024 was for each of us. So honestly, let's just go for what did you like about it? What did you dislike about it? And give it your rating out of 10 straight away. So I'll kick things off with it. I surprisingly like the spawns. Her tenor was around quite a bit and didn't get anything particularly astounding, but I enjoyed the chase for Gothita. And the bad, to be honest, it was such a sort of middle of the line event. I couldn't really think of anything that was too terrible about it, but it was very average. So I'll give it a 6 out of 10, to be honest, from me. Let's throw it over to Caleb next. Go for it.
Yeah, I'd say the good is it was double Stardust, and they had what's that called?
Morlo.
Morlo, yeah, which is extra dust.
True,
which is
yes.
definitely nice. Definitely a good part because I think everyone could use more Stardust, or everyone thinks they could use more Dust. The bad is that I completely forgot that was double Stardust, so I didn't actually even play that much. So I didn't actually catch as much Morlo as I should have. But yeah, kind of similar to you. It was event-wise, it wasn't like a bunch of new stuff outside the Hatena and stuff. But I give it like a 6 or 7 out of 10, I'd say. Yeah, wasn't a bad event, but yeah, was not my favorite either.
Yeah, I agree. It was a very middle of the road event. Hatena was nice, new Pokemon in the game. I didn't get as long playing this one as I would have liked to have done just because of health and just being ill all week. However, the D-Max Beldum was quite nice to actually do a couple of battles against. So
true,
that did add an extra point. So I'm going to go 7 on this one because, it wasn't spectacular by any means. They really should stop using
psychic
the term
average.
Spectacular. Yeah,
it's one of those events, wasn't it? Put it on. Got a new family of Pokemon, which was nice. Didn't really get a good one, and nice to have the old Beldum in there in the Dynamax raids. Absolutely decent one to drop for this event. Yeah, not a great event, not a poor event. I'd say run of the mill 6 for me. Yeah, 6 out of 10, I think.
There we go. The distinctly average psychic.
Distinctly unspectacular.
Yeah, I mean, it sticks to it. It's unspectacular just because of how average it is. But
it is. But Whitfield, do you know what potentially could be spectacular?
I can guarantee you it won't be.
What? The Ducklett.
You found it.
I did.
You actually found that terrible jingle version. Oh, thanks, Lachlan, for
terrible disappointment.
many months ago.
What?
Was it like a year ago that he sent that in?
I had to scroll a long way back on the WhatsApp message trail.
Oh, dear God. Anyway, listeners and gentlemen on the call, what the Ducklett? It did begin as a game guessing the Pokemon via its Pokedex entry in Pokemon GO, but for the last couple of rounds, it's just basically, I'm going to read out a ridiculous riddle that I've made up, and you got to guess quick fire what the Pokemon is from it.
Did we start this cryptic version before the live shows for GoFest? Or
yes.
We did?
Yes.
It's a blur.
It was earlier this year, I think, that it all went down, distinctly downhill. So we'll see how you do on this one. Let's make it first to 2, quick fire it, and just see, honestly, how this goes. So, Ian, be primed with the incorrect sound effect.
Yes. Since it's Caleb's first game, he may have listened to this game previously, but do you want to give us a taster before we get a lot of those?
I'm trying to think of one that's nice. Well, okay, let's do the one that is the namesake of the game. So, an idea of how this would be is this Pokemon is a rental service for birds.
Ducklett.
Mm-hmm.
So
I see. Okay.
It's sort of a
Well,
word
that's
play on
fun.
Pokemon.
That's fun one. That's a fun one.
But unfortunately,
like
we've
So
used that one
multiple,
already.
You need lateral thinking with this game.
Yes, it is very, very odd.
You need something, Ian. You need something with this game.
A bottle of whiskey.
Yes, a monkey's shoulder would sort you right out on this one. So, if you're ready, I'll give you the first ridiculous Dex entry.
What? The Ducklett.
So, this Pokemon has mastered the art of underwater calligraphy.
Cyndaquil?
Incorrect.
Smeargle?
Incorrect.
Happiny?
Happiny? Incorrect.
Oh.
I'm afraid. So,
Good effort, Ian.
this Pokemon has mastered the art of underwater calligraphy. It is a fish Pokemon.
Is it artillery?
Incorrect.
Oh.
So just you can start rattling off fish Pokemon, I guess.
Yeah, I guess octopus not even a fish.
Relicanth?
Incorrect.
It's,
Magikarp?
Incorrect.
Quillfish?
Quillfish is correct.
Oh, yeah. Quill.
There we go.
Yeah.
Point to Caleb. So it is
That's
match point.
that's why I went Cyndaquil. How many Pokemon with quills
Quill
in
was
them,
good.
Yeah.
But maybe
Yeah.
calligraphy in the 7 Rings of Hell. You know?
I was thinking more about writing rather than the implement to write with.
Yeah.
But you've got to
Yeah,
think
so-
laterally, Ian, with it.
One day, Ian, we won't have to think about this ever again because
You
you'll
just
run out
really
of
have
them.
to, yeah, we'll run out. I have to make some more.
Pokemon.
I'll have to write some more underwater.
You have to think in a 180-degree kind of motion.
You'll have to
with
go
this
on a
one.
Boeing A777 and have a few whiskies.
Yeah.
That's where they
well,
all
next
next
come
tour.
from. Yeah.
Next tour, Ian, don't you worry. I'm going to sort this game right out. So, this Pokemon often has a hidden reason behind its actions. That is very, very random. But it is
Is it unknown?
incorrect, I'm afraid.
Oh, should have been the right answer, Caleb. I think Mischievous?
Incorrect, but I do like the line of thinking, actually. I'm going to think of one for Mischievous.
I'm drawing a blank. Move on.
Okay. So, this Pokemon often has a hidden reason behind its actions. That description is very literal to the actual name of the Pokemon itself, as in like a dictionary kind of definition of a word. And I'll give you another clue. It begins with A. If we're really drawing a blank, I'll throw some more clues out there.
Yeah, I was about to play
Is
the
it
awkward crickets. I think we
Alakazam?
are.
Alakazam, incorrect, I'm afraid, but shout out for giving a guess.
Hey, Pom.
Incorrect.
Do I get a well done for having a guess, Milo?
Yes,
Thank
I
you.
applaud you, Val.
Even though it was an awful
Having a
answer.
guess. Can you have a guess, Ian?
Ampharos.
Incorrect. Okay, we're going to go very literal with this next clue.
Caleb, I do sort of, every time someone gives an answer, I go, oh no.
Is it correct? No, it's not. Okay, someone could have this name of a Pokemon motive,
A hidden.
but the name of a Pokemon is there. Trust me, guys, it's there.
Oh, I just can't. I'm blanking on all the A Pokemon.
I am as well.
Okay, actually, Caleb, this Pokemon was very heavily used in the early days of GBL. It had a community day in 2021. It has a Mega.
What? It's not Ampharos?
Axew. No, not Axew. Abra.
Incorrect.
Absol.
Incorrect.
No, Absol's not using GBL. That's a Mega.
So the name of the Pokemon, motive. Okay.
There's only like 5 Megas.
So-
What?
What's a motive?
This
Have a community
Mega,
day.
this Mega dropped on its community day, and it is a fairy dragon Mega.
I
What?
just keep thinking of Ampharos now. Wait, is it Dragon?
Dragon one.
Dragon fairy Mega. Begins with A.
Oh, Altaria.
Altaria, yes. Because you can have an ulterior motive.
But Altaria didn't have a community day. Swablu did.
Yeah.
Bad
Yeah,
clue,
but
Milo.
The
Bad clue.
Mega was released on the community day as well.
Bad clue, Milo. Well done,
There you
Caleb,
go.
for getting
What
off
bad
Milo's
clue? The
misleading
Pokemon
clue.
begins with A. It's the only dragon fairy Mega.
I don't know my typings, Milo. So when you start giving clues, like,
yeah.
when you give gens and typing,
So I
I'm
spell
like,
it as A-L-T.
doesn't help.
E-R. Well played, all
Well
of you.
done,
That was a
Caleb.
very tricky one, but Caleb absolutely smashed it with a
GG's,
2-0
Caleb.
streak. There you go.
Well
So
done,
that's the
Caleb. You did well with those great clues. Well done.
Season 1 GBL. Altaria.
Yeah, it was.
I'll
It's a
tell you.
good one. I kept getting stuck on Ampharos for a while. I was like, the most
Altaria. Oh, Milo.
like Ampharos is dragon type.
Little Altaria motive.
They
Altaria.
Altaria.
This is like Ian. This is like the one with the pizza delivery one. What was it?
No, Rattata was
Yeah.
very, very tenuous.
That was tenuous. at best. Anyway, before we spiral,
Actually, before we do that, I'll say
Stop
well done,
dribbling.
Francesco.
Let's,
Francesco got it before all of you.
Francesco was probably there when you wrote it.
Yeah.
It's probably sat in your bedroom when you were writing it today.
It's actually
Waiting.
while he was writing it.
Waiting 6 months for me to read this one out.
Now then, Frenchie, what shall we do?
Yeah. French.
I think you should do that here.
Kerry says, sorry, I think I dozed off. You're not the only one, Kerry. You're not the only one.
You're definitely
That's
not the
just
only one.
rude.
However, it won't seem that tedious in the edit. And right, boys, let's get back on track. We've got, Zamazenta's coming back into raid, so let's look at a few counters for this bad boy, shall we? Yes, Zamazenta, as we talked about a little bit earlier in the show, is going to be back in raids shortly, and new shiny available. Always a good thing. The CPs that you're looking for on this bad boy, 2188, which is the standard, or weather boosted, 2735.
Good luck, everybody. And Zamazenta is the counterpart to Zacian, so it's a pure fighting type, which means it's got 3 weaknesses: Psychic, Flying, and Fairy.
Right, so anyway, ignore all that because you won't have heard it anyway. Best counters for this Pokemon Zamazenta. Can't wait for this one. Drop it in. Number 1, best one to go for, Primal Groudon with Mudshot and Precipice Blades.
Precipice.
Never heard of that move. Any good in GBL, Caleb? Is it Precipice Blades any good?
It's very good actually. Yeah, it's definitely a pure upgrade to the other types of attacks of that typing. But
there we go. Primal Groudon, number 1.
Yeah. One neat trick is I have a couple of friends that are big time raiders, and they're always trying to get hardest hitter to like flex. And there was last time Zamazenta was in raids, or the first time I should say, I kept getting hardest hitter over them, and they were like constantly asking me like, how's it possible, right? You don't have like level 50 Master League like Mewtwo and stuff. And the trick is, if it's cloudy weather, just use a bunch of fairies like Charm Gardevoir and stuff. And mine was like level 40. It wasn't even maxed out, and I was still doing better than them. So if you're in a cloudy area, just use some fairies, and it'll be you'll impress all the hardcore raiders in the area.
What a flex.
They're very salty about it.
I can imagine.
Could I say so?
Yeah.
Well, if you've got any decent Shadow Mewtwo's, or actually even not so decent to be fair, it's still a powerful counter. Psycho Cut, Psystrike is the moveset you're going to want on those.
And if by any chance you manage to capture a Galarian Articuno, you could utilize that Psycho Cut and Brave Bird on it. It's some way down the counters list, but that's definitely a flex in the raid lobby.
You had a fine swing, Milo, didn't you? Which was a little bit different, didn't you?
Yes.
Yes, I did.
That's quite a way down, Whitfield.
Yeah, that is quite a way. You can see the delay, though, couldn't you? Well, it's probably a similar way down the list, as we're going to look at some of the maybe more attainable options. But you could use one of an Evolution. We love an Evolution. Flareon is quite in there. Flareon, I should say, with Fire Spin and Flamethrower, if you've got those.
I mean, the Mega Rayquaza is probably the big hard hitting one too. If you really want to try and just go Air Slash. Dragon Ascent is very, very hard hitting for sure. So Rayquaza just one of the hardest hitting Pokemon in general.
It certainly is. And Whitfield missed the bus on this one. I'm not leaving it for him this week. Necrozma, Duskmane with Psycho Cut, Sunseal Strike. Look at him. You can see he's already seething because I stole his little bay.
That's okay. That's okay.
That's it. You keep telling yourself that, Whitfield.
He's sharing it Ian tonight. He doesn't
really
normally share
it's
it.
really okay.
It's okay. It's not circuitry, it's fine. If you cannot be bothered to hit the Mega Evolve button, you can use a regular Rayquaza with the same exact moveset, and it's still better than pretty much everything else, bar the Mega and Shadow Mewtwo.
Well, I think, this is one that excites me. We're going to go for a Shadow Pokemon for this, eh?
Ooh.
If you fancy it, bring your Shadow Rapidash to the battle. That has Fire Spin and Fire Blast. It's listed, it's ranked. Admittedly, it's not a double figure ranking. It is in there. But yeah, flex it up, show off. Use Shadow Rapidash if you want to make an impact.
I'm going to continue that Shadow trend here. I actually would not have guessed this, but 26 on the rankings for a counter is Shadow Unpheasant.
Nice.
Nice. Wild. I don't even own one, but if you do have one, that would be kind of a wild one to see.
Yeah, I'm scraping the barrel too, actually, Caleb. One of my favourite legendaries has to be the Bacon Birdie Veltal, and that's a couple places lower. but with Gust and Oblivion Wing, it'll do, I guess.
It'll have to do. And I'm going to go for a very budget pick on this one, but it is a fairy type. Fairy types are some way down on the old DPS scale, but you could use a Sylveon if you're really going to scrape the bottom of the barrel. Evolution, I think you have to get 60 or 70 buddy hearts with it to be able to evolve it, but full fairy moveset on it, it will still tank some.
I think that's pretty much it. We've got a few options there for you to go at, but only use the ones that we said that were at the bottom of the list if you have no other options. There are a lot of decent counters for this one.
If for whatever reason you've only been playing since Ponyta Com Day, use the My Little Pony because it's a psychic type.
But enough talking counters. I think it's time for some shinies.
Shinies of the week.
We got Charlie Todd 7114 from X with not a shiny. Don't be mad, but got this amazing Dynamax Hundo today. And P.S. Can you clarify the spelling, please? The Charmander? Wait.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a nice one.
Nice.
That would
Hundo
be nice for
Dynamax.
the
Noise.
would have been nice for the Dynamax too. 'Cause
Yeah.
those things were not easy.
They were tough battles.
Pavnoko, W12 Ace on X as well, does a 2019 Shundo, which finally got maxed out to 5,010 CP this weekend. Thanks to the event, deserves shinies of the week. Shout out. I think it does. That's nuts.
I think so. Yeah.
50-10 CP. I didn't even know. I clearly didn't max out
There's
my
only one
slacking,
Pokemon that fits that bill. Slacking.
Yeah, Milo's favourite.
Nope.
Yeah. No,
he doesn't
the
like
baby
it.
version.
I like the slacking. Milo doesn't.
No,
Milo's
that's fantastic.
Well, speaking of shiny monkeys, we got Kiwi Steve 007 on X saying, "Alrighty then," and it's a Shundo Passimian, which is fresh off the press too. Very nice.
That's fire.
Nice indeed.
And of course, we got Sue on Discord and watching the recording of episode 190. Hopped into a raid from Noti and got a shiny Groudon, which is kind of nuts too.
Nice.
23 and 19 CP. Also on Discord, Tony of Pride just hatched it, and I'm ready for Mass League now. It's not a shiny, but 100% Frigibax.
Ooh,
definitely a nice one.
That's solid.
Nice.
And then to wrap it up, we got on Discord as well from Spin Diana. Just landed in town, just started doing the research, and boom, a Shundo Oranguru. That's
nice.
Nice. Shundo both monkeys.
GG's, Chris.
3 monkeys, I should say, of this week. Yeah.
Yeah, that's insane.
Noise.
Yeah.
Noise.
Very nice indeed.
Noise.
But yeah, that wraps up the shinies
A lot
of
of
the week.
Shundo monkeys there.
Mhm.
You feeling jealous, Whitfield?
Yeah, very much so.
It was your event, man. It was your event. So it was your event. Let's top line Sunday, shall we? Because I'm sure we all went out, did a few field research tasks to try and get our brand new shiny Passimian or Oranguru if you never got it in the original back in 2023's Go Fest season. How do we find this event?
I thought it was okay, personally speaking. It was kind of easy to finish the task, which was nice. I didn't get no Shundos, but I did get 200% Passimians, which is good enough for me.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is it any good for Great League, Caleb Passimian?
No, definitely not. It's Oranguru is interesting, and some people have brought it. Some people are bringing it to like actual tournaments too.
Oh, are they
So
now?
it's actually kind of interesting. Yeah, so
Oh.
it actually could be pretty good. And it's a very interesting one for Ultra League as well if you have the XL candies for it. So Passimian, not so much, but Oranguru.
But it's a good shiny Passimian.
But you never know. Maybe one day, you know.
Maybe one day. There's always a hope. No, I mean, it was a great event. I think we've said this many a time before. Research days are fun. They allow you to play the game socially or anti-socially. And I think that, for me, is fantastic to have the choice. I always sort of lean towards anti-social. So that's always quite nice. Weather was awful, to be fair, where we were in the UK.
The whole of the UK was covered in rain.
Yeah, it's a horrible day. And I think the way they mixed it up between two was lovely. How did I play it? Exactly like that. In the car, played for a couple of hours. By the time I'd done 2, I was more than enough done. I don't think you need to play these events for the full 3 hours unless you're chasing something specifically. And shinies were quite good. Got a couple of both shinies from the ticketed part, so that was boosted. Nice to get 15 encounters on each as well. A lot of encounters. Doing
16 really
task.
with the end
bonus one,
encounter.
the end. So that I felt was really nice.
It
really
was nice
strong.
to get 2 sets as well, rather than alternating on one.
Absolutely, mate. And I got one of each from the research tasks, and my best was a 96% shiny Persimmon, so very happy with that. And Oranguru just wasn't very good on the IVs, but hey, it was nice to chase. I wanted both of them again. It's quite nice. I only got one from the Go Fest.
Happy days. Happy days. Well, boys, you'd be very pleased to know that my favourite part of the whole day was picking up a random shiny Chimchar. That was absolutely astounding.
I got a shiny actually as well, funnily enough.
No, mine was actually event related though.
Oh, mine wasn't.
Actually the event spawns. No, in all seriousness, the paid ticket research that you guys mentioned was one of the best I think we've had in a long time. It reminded me heavily of the Cryogonal time research that came with that day, because that came with like 30 plus encounters. This one, 32 checks between the 2 Pokemon.
Yeah,
really, really good. I obviously went ham on the research task.
Of course you did.
Why not? It's a 1 in 10 shiny rate, as we've seen from people on socials and our Discord and everything. Best opportunity to try and get a Shundo. Didn't happen, unfortunately, but walked away with 17 shinies from the research tasks. So plenty of Persimmon. Nothing like amazing IV-wise shiny stuff, but 2 Hundo Orangurus, which was new. So honestly, I loved it. Great event.
And I'll just round this out. Again, we're keeping it top line. Great event. The ticket was good. No Hundos, no Shundos, but I did walk away with a shiny 98% Oranguru and a 93% shiny Persimmon. I'll take both of those. I didn't go as ham as Whitfield because, let's face it, who's got time? I played for 2 and a bit hours. The first hour on
3 hour
foot,
event.
in the rain, getting drenched. The second hour was in the car, which I really didn't enjoy. But I got 9 shinies, including 1 off-brand shiny. So the mix was 3 Persimmon, 5 Oranguru, and 1 Ghastly.
I got a Chansey in. That was my random.
There you go. So we got a wild shiny in the day. Did you get one, Caleb?
No, I didn't. Yeah, but I'm okay with that. I'm not the biggest shiny hunter in general, so it's okay.
That's fair enough. That's a win then.
Yeah, out of 10, I give it an 8. You know, it was easy to play events, a lot of shinies, a lot of good shiny Shundo chances, like you said.
Yeah, I think the ticketing research really gave it a kick up for what's a good event anyway. I liked it. New shiny, rarer shiny, good mixture. Thought it was pretty good. I think I'm going to go with you on that one, mate. A nice 8 for that one.
I'm going to make it a triple of 8s. And I prefer this style of research compared to the typing ones because it's a bit more of a specific chase. So yeah, 8 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, now I'm going to agree with you all. It has to be an 8. Research days are fun. We always say we love a raid day. We always say we love a community day. But let's face it, we all do love a research day as well. So, good event. Nice to have 2 Mons. It was quite specific with what you got. And the research having 2 lists, so you got 16 checks of each. Great addition. Yeah, I enjoyed it. 8.
I think the only miss they had was they should have named the event like Monkeying Around or something. They just named it Oranguru Persimmon event or Research Day.
Monkeying Around.
There's a lot of monkey references. I love the feed 3 Nanab berries research.
It took me all day to figure that out. Oh, yeah, monkeys, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that makes sense. But they could have really leaned into the monkey theme more with the title. But, maybe next time.
Probably not.
Get better at naming your events.
More creative.
Right? Yeah.
Well, that's our thoughts on what should have been dubbed the Monkeying Around event. But we have had some fantastic voice messages coming in through WhatsApp.
2 of our regulars have been on. First up, Oscar's been on.
Hello, Incense Podcast. Just listened to the latest episode whilst playing Persimmon and Oranguru Research Day. It was unfortunate to hear that the old shepherd's dog, you weren't able to get some food there, because I know you love Clarkson.
Yeah,
Well, 2 of you anyway. I got 6 shiny Orangaroos, and I got 11 shiny Persimmons. One of those shiny Persimmons being a 98%.
Nice.
Called him LeBron, maxed him to level 40. I hope yours was excellent too. I hope you got Shundos, Hundos, Shinies, galore. But, maybe I should say, as Shinization will be coming to the game next week. And unfortunately, there is going to be no raid hour. So I have to ask one request of you. Please send me all those invites for those Asian raids, because I will need them. I want that blue sausage dog. Bye. See ya. Nice talking to you, and have a great week, all.
Oh, I love Oscar. He's sound. Blue sausage dog invites, everyone.
There you go. You heard it here.
His Asian accent.
That's the new regional variant of it.
Oh, okay.
Galaz.
No, also, Oscar, thank you very much for sending in that
thanks,
message.
Oscar. I'm sure we will send you some raids, but you'll be capped out, I'm pretty sure, by the time I send you any.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We know how it works, don't we, Ian?
Yeah. But Milo, your better half's been on.
Francesco?
No, he's there with you. No, we've got someone on.
G'day, guys. It's Lachlan from Australia, or whatever else I'm called these days. Marky's fellow swaddle connoisseur.
Oh.
And I was thinking about my maxed out swaddle, my maxed out swadloon, and my maxed out Leavanny all the way to level 50, and thought,
Flex it.
what's something strange that we've all powered up to level 50 recently? So I was able to, thanks to the tasks on the research day, the monkey research day, the FOMO monkey research day, whatever you want to call it, all those power up tasks, it pushed me to power up what I was walking as my buddy. And I got my Dragapult, which is the final evolution of Dreepy, my Hundo Dragapult, all the way up to level 50.
Of course you did, Lachlan.
Of course
So
you
that's
did.
my most recent Pokemon I've powered up to level 50. What's something strange you've recently powered up to 50 that other trainers listening may not have yet invested in? Have a good show. Bye.
Well, thank you for the message, Lachlan. I'll jump straight in on this one because I haven't powered anything up to level 54 so long, I couldn't even tell you what the last thing I powered up to 50 was. I don't spend dust, we know this.
Fantastic. It's only up from here.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think on that. I was going to make a Rhyperior, but you know what it was? It was a Slowbro. The Mega Slowbro. You can't really use in GBL, but once in a while, my Master League friends in their grassroots formats need to scrim with people that have Mega Slowbro. So, and Mega Slowbro is pretty nasty. It's actually quite underrated.
Is it really? Oh, okay.
Yeah. At least in like limited formats. So I've been working on that for my friends. Yeah.
The most recent thing I maxed up to level 50 was on the community day, and I did it with the guys in Oxford. I did power up a Litten, a 0% IV Litten. All the way up to level 50, so that's sat there with a nice 908 CP, and I'm not evolving that. It's staying as a level 50 fire cat, and I'm comfortable with that.
I love it.
Yeah,
Fabulous.
Milo.
One of the more strange power ups I did recently was my Hundo Kecleon that I got from a random trade, and I can't remember if I'd already had the XLs from trading or putting rare XLs into it, but yeah, I got it to level 50 quite recently. The Chameleon is level 50'd. Yay.
The third place finisher at Worlds, Marto Galde, is hunting for that 100% Kecleon.
Oh, is he?
He wants to use it in Ultra League. Yeah, he's been grinding for that one for a while. So
it's just the trades. That's the thing. Yeah. Trades. That's how trades work for me. Is how it goes. But good luck to you.
Yeah.
I have got a Hundo Swaddle in my collection, and Ian's got a Nundo one, so I'm sure they might be level 50s up on community take.
For sure.
Some might say realistically I should power up to level 50 my Hundo Dynamax Charizard, but I haven't.
Yes,
yet.
You should have. Yes. I don't know why I didn't make you do it while we were walking back to Chipping Norton.
You didn't what? Yeah.
He got it outside Chipping Norton.
I'm good outside, just outside Clarkson's farm.
Well, that is potentially one you might have to do.
And actually, this is a minor flex. I've also got a 98% one as well.
Okay, moving on.
Anyway,
Before we actually do, in fact, move on, we also have a text message that's come in using the send us a message button on certain podcast platforms. This one's coming from a number ending 5469 from somewhere within the UK and Northern Ireland. And it says this: another amazing show. Really enjoyed it. 5 stars. I have to say, I've never watched Grand Tour. Okay, you've gone right down in my estimation.
Wow.
Oof.
you're not the only person. Well done.
But it is sad when TV shows end, or even film trilogies. So Friends is my TV show. And just to throw in there, Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, and Harry Potter was sad when you get to the end, when you've spent so many years watching.
Wizards Unite.
Oh, and please don't end the podcast anytime soon. It's my highlight of my Sundays. Thanks, Mike Griffin.
Aww.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
For sending that in.
Oh, thanks, Mike.
Grand
What's up,
Tour.
Milo? Oh, thanks, Mike.
That's because we've had him right in before.
We have, this is the 4th time Mike's texted in. But Mike, if you have Amazon Prime, invest a few hours. You'll see what we love about the Grand Tour if you spend some time watching it.
I thought you said Incense Podcast was on Amazon Prime there, Ian. I thought that's where you were going with that one.
Wait,
Invest a bit of time.
wait for it. And actually, when it comes to wait for it, I want to see where that thing has placed as a cat's name on Mark's poll.
Well, I hope there were no cats on my poll tonight. That would have been a nasty
Ooh,
fall, wouldn't it,
scratchy.
Caleb? Bless them. They wouldn't have liked that, would they? Oh, dear. But no, we asked, we said, what name would you give your pet cat? And I said, the boys have shared their favourite names. Which of these do you like the most? And obviously, as always, please vote, comment and repost. Let's do the comments first. Sue Hermes Ninja's put, this was my Norwegian forest cat named Axel. I always loved that name for a cat. Beautiful cat. Please check it out. If you listen to the show, go to the poll on Incensed on X and have a look at the pictures that some of our listeners have shared with us. Beautiful cat. I Am Prius has put Azrael, a.k.a. Berber, Italian translation, and a gif of what his cat would have looked like, I can imagine.
GIF.
It's a custom GIF. Check it out. I hope it was a brown cat. Lucy Davis has put Pixie because it's cute and cats are cute. Oh, bless. Kerry's brilliant. Oh, you have to look at the picture of this. I'm going to try and describe it, but her cat is hanging on the top of an era in a house. And it's literally got back legs over the top of it. The rest of it clinging onto the rails further down. But, Kerry, my girl is Remy. My 3-year-old daughter's nickname is Pixie, but loving, wait for it.
Wait for it.
Thomas at 96_ Tom Ellis put
Yes,
Mr. Bigglesworth.
Thomas.
We had Austin Powers, a reference there, a little gif in there.
Yes.
Mark Bailey has shared his cat with us before, but yeah, my cats are Titan and Penelo. That's Penne for short. Sadly, Titan died in 2020, but Penne had a 17th birthday last week. So next year she can start learning to drive. Well, I think in human years she probably can't drive anymore, but we're not going to...
No, actually in the UK it's 17, so you're good to go.
Good to go. Like that, Milo, like that. So here we go. And sadly, our listeners or people following us next wouldn't have known the backstory behind these names. So in 4th place with 0%. Oh, that's brutal. That's brutal.
Come on.
I'm going to call my ex and be like, this is your fault.
Come on.
Or is it mine?
It's Cheggy.
Oh.
Okay.
It's all good.
That's harsh.
She's not here to hear it.
In 3rd place and on the podium, if this was Crufts for Cats, with 14% of the vote, we've got Minka with 14%.
There you go.
So,
Minka Stinker.
in 2nd place with 38% of the vote. Wait for it. No, that is the answer. No,
Yeah,
I'm not.
The potential there is brilliant.
That's amazing.
And the winner with 48%. And I'm quite happy with this one. It's Pixie.
It's a quality name.
Quality name. And if I had a goat, I'd call it Pixie as well. So lovely to see that. Fantastic. Thanks for everyone that got involved. We do like when people engage with our social media posts.
Well, that, boys, brings us to the end of yet another show. Episode 190, no less. And our guest, Caleb, who has spent the last, no joke, 3 hours recording this week's show with us.
It's been a long one.
It's been a long one.
Fun.
Caleb, thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely appreciate it. Yeah, thanks for having me. I know I rambled a little bit, but appreciate you all making
fit right in
this podcast and stuff. Yeah.
Fit right in, my friend. But we do want to give you a couple of minutes now just to tell us where we can find you on all of the socials, all of the live stream video platforms, where your podcast is. Talk to us. Yeah, sell yourself. Let people come and find you.
Yeah, it's just Caleb Peng on pretty much all socials. Peng is essentially like first 4 letters of penguin, if anyone ever gets confused. You can find me on X, YouTube, Twitch. I don't stream as much on Twitch anymore, but I do stream Pokemon GO on YouTube. I'll play some other games on Twitch from once in a while. And yeah, those are pretty much the main socials. Instagram, if you want to see more cat pictures. And,
there you go, always.
Yeah. And then it seems like a lot of cat fans here. And then, of course, if you want to listen to the Battlecast podcast, it's Catz with a Z. That was a little homage to Zionic, actually, when he started it. And so Battlecast podcast, we're on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, most of the podcast platforms too. So video version, if you want to see some video format, sometimes there'll be some cats in the thing, as well as, if someone's eating a hot chip, you really want to see their reaction of them crying and stuff to it, so it's good. But yeah, that's where you get,
and we'll put all of that good stuff in the description of this episode,
so nobody can miss it. But there is one other question, Caleb. If we asked you, would you come back on for a follow-up episode in the future?
Yeah, for sure. I'm totally down. Sign me up.
Verbal contract.
That is
we got him.
Yeah.
We got him, boys. We got him, boys.
Yeah,
that counts for a live show.
We'll lock him in the dungeon, boys, shall we?
Well, I mean, the PvP dungeon has a slot open.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, Henry's escaped, I think.
Yeah.
Kitty let him out.
We don't check it that often, to be honest.
Kitty's been down there more often than checking on for us, hasn't she, to be fair to her? Bless her.
100%. But as we look to wrap up episode 190, it's been a long one, but we think it's been quality. If you've enjoyed listening, make sure that you hit the follow or plus subscribe button on whatever podcast platform you are listening to us on. And if you could drop us a 5-star review, that would be sensational. Awesome. As we said, you can follow us across our socials at Incensed Podcast, at X, Instagram, and even Threads if you want to. There's, of course, Campfire. There's our Patreon Discord that you can get involved with. And on the note of Patreon, I've got to say a big thanks to every single person who supports us through that platform. Whether you're on the bronze, the silver, or the gold tiers, your contributions towards the podcast really helps keep the wheels turning on this show. And 190 weeks consecutive, that's the word, consecutively.
Yeah, we never miss a week.
We never miss a week. We wouldn't be able to do that without the help of every single one of the Patreon supporters. But a special thanks to the gold tier peeps, who are JB, Clifford Mert, Darby Russ, Kerry and Zachary, Connor Lee, Apex171, Mufti, Barside 2, Highbone, Mandy Croft, Mr. Mossam, and Roper Seiler. Thank you so much to each and every one of you. And if you want to get involved with the Patreon, you can find it linked in the episode notes below. And tiers start from £1.50. That gets you access to our community Discord. And if you want to go further up to the gold tier, you get to jump on to the live recordings of these shows every single week to witness the raw, unconstructed chaos that happens behind the scenes. So there's nothing that you get to miss, which is fantastic.
Wait, I've got some good news.
What?
Next Spotlight Hour is Pie Dove and double transfer candy on that, which I certainly need.
Which one? The bonus or the mon?
I'll take both. Yeah, I still massive on Pie Dove, and I'm weird like that.
Well, on that transfer epic bombshell. What? God, that's terrible. That's terrible. We're going to end this episode. We will see you all for 191, peeps. And stay safe in God Forgets, lads.